Hello and happy Friday evening, everybody. My name is Elise and welcome to my tea table. So happy you're here on this Friday night. Every Friday night, at least for this year so far, I've come on here and talked about how we can all find ourselves on the path to the best life. And tonight's no different. I'm a little bit late tonight. It's 9:26 until I'm finally on here with you guys. I'm in Pacific time in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that was because I was taking a nap earlier today. I don't get to do that very often, and I enjoyed my nap so much. I was inspired by it so much that I decided that I would come on and talk about sleep. I can't believe I haven't talked about sleep yet, because I feel, in my own personal opinion and my own personal experience, that sleep and your ability to sleep and to understand your body's need for rest and recharge your body is like a superpower almost. It makes you feel superhuman when you're able to do that. So, and sleep has always been an important part of my life, even before I started studying tea. But I feel since I've started studying tea and living a tea lifestyle, I have certainly, and that may have just been an age, in maturity and age, you really start to think about your sleep and really appreciate and understand it. So I will be doing a little bit of a literature review on L-theanine, caffeine, and some of what's been discovered about, hey Jesse, what's up? Pure aloha to you, much love to you. Yeah, so we're gonna have an extra chill night streaming from peacefulness of the bedroom with some nice atmospheric lighting. I've got my candle lit here. I never have candle lits on stream, but we got some candles lit and just gonna try to set the vibe. I was trying to lower the audio, but that's better. Hey, good to see you, Jesse. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. There we go. I think this is better. I'm going to be playing Sojourner's techno music tonight, but I feel like if you play it lightly in the background, his music can be quite meditative and relaxing, especially when we're talking about tea. I'm going to be drinking some 2019 Gushu Shangpur from Nanoshan in Jishambana, Yunnan, China. I'm doing really well. I took a nice nap, so I'm well rested. I need some good tea. I need some caffeine. I need some theanine to kind of kick me back in, because when I sleep good. And it takes me a bit of time. So I woke up from the nap maybe a few hours ago. But I had a meeting. Someone came by to pick some tea up and to drop something off to me. Best tea for anxiety, all tea. I get asked that question all the time. What tea is the best tea for anxiety? And it's like, anxiety is a large overarching issue in our body and in our mind, and outside of CBD, which I have seen some studies that CBD does directly affect anxiety, but it's usually through sleep. It's because the CBD relaxes your muscles and relaxes your body so that you can sleep, and then that further affects your anxiety, further affects your whole body system. Rest is so important, and that's what we'll be talking about tonight. But tea in general, and just the general practice of tea, is great for anti-anxiety. It's very meditative, and I did find some articles. It always boils back down to the L-theanine, which is an amino acid that is contained in the Camellia sinensis plant, the tea plant. The original tea plant, that, black, white, oolong, green, pu'er tea, all comes from this same plant. It is the only bioavailable source of L-theanine in the world. I think there are certain mushrooms, but those mushrooms are actually inedible. And now there's a whole branch of supplements called nootropics that are, promising to help with anxiety, helping with focus, helping with energy, and ultimately sleep. And it's interesting because all these compounds are just extracted from tea. And when you enjoy the tea, you get it in its best form. And then you also get to have that meditative experience of being mindful in preparing the tea, being present. Anything that's going to like put you in a present state and help you feel comfortable in the state of presence is going to help with your anxiety, and then ultimately going to help with, you know, all the rest of your health. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I've got to like turn my brightness up here. I'm having issues reading. There we go. Do I believe in crystals? Yeah, I've seen crystals. They're real. Now, do I believe in their healing powers? Yes, I do. You know, and I still haven't been able to put my finger down on it because I come from a very like scientific background. I'm a food scientist. It's what I studied in my undergrad. I really haven't pursued much more of a science, you know, academic path since my undergrad. But I still come in from that conception of like thinking of it scientifically. And when it comes to crystals, is really hard to reconcile that. But I think there are elements to it. There's definitely energetics, and studying tea has really helped me start to build that bridge between like the spiritual and the scientific, and understanding things such as like energy and a lot of the stuff that's talked in Ayurvedic practice, as well as like Chinese medicine, where it's like, this doesn't really make sense. This is more of like a spiritual thing that we just have to believe rather than understanding the science of it. But with tea, the concept of qi and how the tea acquires that qi from, you know, deep in the earth where the mineral contents are higher. And I believe that crystals can be the same thing. And I think a lot of it has to do with minerals. Of course. Oh, here, I'm blocking our tea brew in here. All right, I'm going to change the music. This is a little hardcore. We're supposed to be talking about sleep. We're supposed to be talking about sleepy sleep. All right, Plastic Man, how are you doing, Joe? It's good to see you. What's the best tea to drink cold? And I feel like if it's good tea, like all of the teas that I work with in my warehouse that I have the privilege of getting to drink, such as this beautiful, you know, old tree shangpuer, they all cold brew really well. And so by cold brew, it's very similar to coffee cold brew, where you just put the tea leaf into your like room temperature water, and you can brew it even in the refrigerator. But you want to leave it for at least 9 hours. It's allowed to compare tea with coffee. I just did it myself. I just said that doing this is kind of like cold brew coffee. It's a very similar concept. And when you cold brew, you're going to be extracting a lot less of the caffeine and the tannins, which do contribute to the... I'm just warming everything up. I'm putting hot water and everything. It contributes to the bitterness and the astringency of the tea. When you cold brew it, it essentially only extracts like the sweetness, all the amino acids, which includes the L-theanine. So if you're looking for L-theanine, if you're looking for this like brain helping, sleep helping, anti-anxiety compound in tea, you certainly will get it if you cold brew. It's interesting. Some of these songs are like broken, like that one. It was a good track though. Yeah, so I believe in crystals. I think that there is merit to understanding the energetics of different minerals and how those can interact with us. I still think that we have a long road ahead of like fully understanding the science behind it. But if someone like me is starting to accept these things and advocate for these things, it will start to make its way into, you know, the mainstream science knowledge base. Which, you know, like a lot of that... No, Joao, you will not be choosing a song tonight. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you won't be choosing any songs tonight. We're gonna be listening to some chill some chill Sojourner techno music. Aha. Yeah, Jesse, I'm gonna go check out your comment. Tea versus coffee debate. You say tea is better for you than coffee is. It's more healthy for you than coffee. Yeah, maybe. That's a very relative statement to make. Is like, what is healthy? Tea and coffee are very different things, actually, to be honest. And the interactions of those things that we have with our body. It's like, I have seen like legitimate research about coffee, how like there are certain compounds in coffee that tea don't have, coffee or chocolate doesn't have, that you can only get from coffee. And so some limited consumption of coffee can actually contribute to health. So, but here's my take on it, my personal take. I like to have a beautiful, rich, deep flavor cup of coffee in the morning, just one cup. And then throughout the day, I'll drink tea, like several, endless cups of tea. So, I mean, I think that perspective, that story should tell you, you know, a lot about the relativity and the health benefits of coffee and tea. Now, coffee has a lot of caffeine in it, and caffeine is different. No, you're not going to suggest techno. You're going to suggest K-pop or something like that. I know you. All right, Jesse, lurk away. Thank you for being here. If my stream puts you to sleep tonight, success. We are living the best life. We are living the best life because sleep is so good. It's so important. I'm very pro sleep. I get 8 hours every night on average. I do it. I am living an extremely crazy lifestyle. I travel all over the world. You know, before the pandemic, I was pretty much constantly in a state of jet lag, but never actually. I didn't, but I planned on showing the menu. I'll do that after I brew this tea and enjoy a cup. I'll pull it up and we'll check out the menu of that restaurant that I went to. Because, yeah, Joao, I came to learn the Newark, which Newark is in New Jersey, which is very near to Manhattan. I went to Manhattan for a meeting, and I flew into Newark. And so, I flew out of Newark, and the city of Newark is like, you can see it across the water from Manhattan. It's very close, actually, but it's a smaller vibe. And right next to the main train station there is this settlement. I don't know settlement. I don't know the total history. I actually wanted to like look into that, the history of that neighborhood, if anything knows. It's a whole community. It's a whole community. Like, there's a whole strip of the street. It's all restaurants. And we had several to choose from, but with the pandemic and it being like, you know, a Monday night, there weren't like a whole lot of restaurants that were open and available for us. But there was one seafood restaurant, and I'll open up the menu so that we can look at it. What's my take on L-theanine versus melatonin? They're different things. I don't actually know a whole lot about melatonin. I just know about L-theanine, and I feel like L-theanine is such like a proactive, like, regulating type of compound for us, and that's what I prefer. I'm a little bit of what you would call a hippie, a minimalist, and so like when it comes to nutrition or, you know, things that I want to like enjoy, I prefer to keep it simple and try to keep it as whole as possible, if you understand what I mean. Yeah, I like this. The tea is very good. I'm gonna look up that restaurant. I think it was called this is it. I mean, I guess I could take us on like a little Google walk around the streets, but this is the outside of the place. I don't know what other pictures are here. Let's see. What happened? How do I get to the next? No. Yeah, it's all seafood. Let's see. Let's go to their website. Yeah, it's pretty much all seafood. Yeah, this is the spot we went to. But we had snails, clams on the half shell, and grilled octopus. Not snails? You don't like snails? Yeah, where's the? But the guy said with the bacalao dish, he's like, no, the little ones. Yeah, the little snails. The tiny little ones. Yeah, on Instagram, I totally sent you the photos of the food. I did. I sent you the photo of the food that we got. Oh, these are all. Is this all wine? No, that's appetizers. No, that's wine. There's a children's menu. That's dessert. Dang, that's a long dessert menu. Wow. I don't know what I'm reading. Again, guys, I just woke up from a nap. So, this is such a weird menu. That it has like the wine list like right in the middle. I'm confused. Yeah, this I don't know. I didn't send you anything? Maybe I'm in like one of your like junk folders or something. Was the screen name right in the Whisper? Check the Whisper. I told you the screen name or the handle that I sent it to. I don't know, man. Send me a message. And like I can't whisper you a photo. I was trying just to whisper you in Twitch the photo of my snails. They were delicious. Oh, see, you see it. It was probably you got me in your yeah, you gotta follow me, man. You gotta follow me. Follow the adventures. Shame. Yeah, I had literally like an hour and 15 minutes between when I needed to go to the airport and when my train came in, because I got in from the city, from Manhattan pretty quickly on the train. And my friend lives in Jersey City, which is not too far away, and he was like, hey, I'll go up there and meet you. And we just walked, like, from the train station. There's like this whole row of restaurants. It's like Spanish and Portuguese, but mostly Portuguese, I've heard. And it's like been like that for a long time. I wanted to research the neighborhood at Newark. Maybe I could just do that right now. So melatonin, I'm looking at melatonin lines and dots. You asked about that. It's very different than the theanine. There are naturally occurring sources though, and that's what the hippie in me gets excited about. Let's check WebMD. This says, some fruits and vegetables, but it doesn't actually say which ones. I mean, that kind of sucks. I mean, maybe it's something that's in everything. tart cherries, goji berries, eggs. Eggs are actually one of the best sources of melatonin. Oh, that's cool. Milk. Warm milk is a traditional remedy for insomnia. It's no surprise it's high in melatonin. So that's interesting. Oh yeah, you see the octopus. It's really good. The octopus was probably the best dish there. And I've never had clams on the half shell like that, like the raw clams. I've never had that before. But the bacalao, I asked the chef about the bacalao, and he was like, no, these dishes are better. And then I asked about the way, the recipes that you gave about boiling it with the butter and the onions. And he was like, no, the grilled is better. So I don't know, is that like a debate? Maybe it's just in their kitchen. Yeah, I feel like you have to boil octopus. Oh, I see. So the traditional is the boiled one with the potatoes and vegetables. But yeah, man, I was thinking about you. And how when I go to Lisbon, how you're gonna, when Jojo and I go to Lisbon, you're gonna kill us. Oh, this tea is really good. So this is Shangpur. Comes from old trees, and this is a gushu, which is really old trees. Some of these trees are, older than 300 years. Very big, large trees that have very deep root systems that access a lot of the minerals and the energetics from the earth, just like with the crystals. Nick Hossam had asked about crystals earlier. Yeah, the chef was just kind of like, the grilled is better. If you're going to order the bacalao, get the grilled. Oh, so on Christmas Eve, you guys eat the boiled cod. Awesome. I like hearing people's like Christmas Eve eating heritage. I like that a lot. I come from I have several different lineages in my family, but the strongest one, which is usually like, I don't know, I can't generalize. I think it comes from every way, but like in my case, it was my father and my father's father, is the heritage, that is most practiced in my family, like most valued and has been handed off to me. And that's actually Denmark. I've never been to Denmark. My family, my father was not born there, so definitely not. Jojo's back in Miami, man. You're following him on Twitch. He's also streaming now almost every day. He's getting the groove. He's getting the groove, but his computer crashed on him. Yeah, he lives in Miami. I live in Las Vegas. He lives in Miami. But yeah, he's streaming. You can go bro out with him on his stream. He doesn't have many followers, so here, let me put his channel so you can find him. And by the way, guys, hold on one second, my paper dropped. If you want to see the full experience of what we've got going on here, I stream 5 days a week to Twitch. On this channel here, I only stream to Reddit on Friday nights. I do like to open up the experience to Reddit because I get a lot of really great questions from you guys, and so that's why I always like to come back every week and kind of open up the floor for like question and answer. On Fridays, I typically do a little bit of research on hey Jim, what's up? Jim's been hanging out in JoJo's channel. That's been fun. It's been me and Jim just hanging out in JoJo's channel. But yeah, Friday nights I tend to do a little research and learn about a topic specifically around tea, trying to research brain health or cardiovascular health, or talk about fitness. Just different topics about how we can all find ourselves on the path towards our best life. And today we're talking about sleep, which is important. I'm here in my nice cozy bedroom. Nice beautiful city view out the window. I like it here. I've never streamed from the bedroom before, so this is kind of intimate. Of course you guys can't see it, but if you guys want to see it, you gotta come to Twitch. Oh, there's Bitcoin. Someone must have walked past the door. You hear Bitcoin, yeah? Bitcoin's my dog. He's head of security. So what do you think about those restaurants? They look like legit. They look like quality spots. Yeah, it's like a slumber party. Exactly. Yes, Jim. Welcome to the slumber party. Hope you brought your comfy PJs. Get meh, not good. Okay. Well, I tried. Joe, I'm like really trying to connect with you. We're 0% taste of Portugal. We're trying. Oh, good, Jim. Good. So yeah, if my stream puts you to sleep tonight, it's been a success. Yeah, sleep's important for me, and I'm like surprised that I have not done the stream yet. I was like looking back on all the other topics that I've gone over. I'm like, yeah, all the topics have been great, but like, where's the sleep been? See, that's the thing though, is that the tea can either wake you or it can calm you. So I'm going to do a little bit of a lit review today to kind of talk about the science behind that. Like the tea that I'm drinking right now, I chose to drink this tea because it has very high energetics to it. It's coming from these old trees with deep roots that are picking up all those minerals and those energetics. Because, yeah, I just woke up from a nap. I'm drinking some Shangpur. This is some Nano Shangpur. This is not a tea that I sell. It was just a gift I had sitting around. But it's a Gushu Shangpur, which means coming from the old tree. Gushu means old tree, which means high energetic. So I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the tea. I'm awake. This tea has definitely helped me get lined up and get on point with you guys. But I also know that as soon as I get home and like am ready to go into rest mode, which I really look forward to, because like I've been kind of moving around a lot. I traveled. I've been having a very busy week, different work and projects. And then I got my second dose of the vaccine this morning, so also feeling a little tired from that. So I'm really looking forward to catching up on my rest. And I know that this tea is not going to keep me awake. I am streaming on Periscope, Davin. Thanks for checking out, hanging out. Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Where are you? Where are you tuning in from? I'm also streaming to Reddit. I'm also streaming to Twitch. I'm also streaming to Facebook, and I'm streaming to YouTube as well. And every single platform has its own reason why I'm streaming to it. If you want the full interactive community experience, I do recommend that you come hang out on Twitch with us. Yeah, I can't see your track link. If you want to whisper it to me, I'll check it out. I probably won't play it, but I'll check it out. Yeah, because L-theanine, it's different than coffee, right? When you have coffee, you're consuming several things, but the main thing that's affecting your energy is the caffeine. Raw caffeine alone. And we all know what that does to us. And that's the same for energy drinks or caffeine supplements. We just know how we respond to that. You just get this jolt of energy, and more than likely you will get a crash at some point. And you may feel even less energetic than when you first started. But with tea, it has L-theanine. And the Camellia sinensis plant, which is the plant that all tea comes from, is the only bioavailable source of this L-theanine. And it's already packaged all together with the caffeine and the other compounds for it to activate in the body. And what the L-theanine does is it changes the energy release in the body from like that jolt of energy and the crash to a slow release of mental focus. Like all the energy is just like in your brain. So like your thoughts are really clear and present, and then it relaxes your body. And so think about that state. If you can imagine what you were experiencing in your past when you've experienced that before, either through meditation or being in the state of flow. You can do anything you want when you're in that state. You know, like that's the manifestation state. You know, all the hippies talk about, you know, how you manifest the things that you want to see in the world. A lot of that has to do with that physiological state. When you're in that state, you're in like empathy state. You're in this like open-minded state. And so really you can do anything you want. And so once you understand that, then you can see how a tea like this, you can really control the energetics. You can control what your body is going to do. Because I get a lot of people that say, like, especially people that are new to tea, they don't know much about tea. They just, you know about caffeine, and they know they don't like caffeine. Even a doctor will tell them, hey, you can't have caffeine. Like, this is not good for your health. I always tell people to be open-minded about the L-theanine and to try to be mindful in that practice when they drink tea, to understand how they can kind of control the energetics. It's a hard thing. Sometimes I tell people, because we have like late night tea parties here in the warehouse sometimes, and people will say, oh, I can't drink tea so late. And we certainly have like roasted teas or teas that have less caffeine in them. Of course, they're going to have less of the theanine as well. So, you know, they'll just be more of like a calming, you know, warming beverage to drink. But yeah, sometimes people will say, you know, I drank the tea and I was awake until 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I always like to tell them, you know, like, did you try to like calm yourself, calm your thoughts? Because if you like let's say this energy that I'm feeling right now, like let's say I like come up with a whole new business idea or a whole new thing that I want to work on, like I could channel this energy that I'm feeling to go down a rabbit hole until like sunrise working on something. Or I can really like kind of focus on my breath, focus on my heartbeat, and really try to calm myself to turn that energy into like a meditation. Yeah, we were talking about that in the matcha drinks. Yeah, because there was a guy that came towards the end of the tea talks that was actually developing. His product is called Daily Dose, so it's an actual it's like a nootropic supplement type of a product. Yeah, we were talking about this, so yeah, this is fresh on my mind, and it was cool to talk to that guy. Is this hip hop? You send me some hip hop. I've got it muted. I'm not going to be playing it for us, but I definitely will play it later. Joel, thank you for sending me the music. I always like hearing new music. Joel, I don't think I understand your question. So you ask, is depression related questions the top one topic? The top one topic where? Like on this stream, on this series that I do on Friday nights, or just in general, like people have tea questions? I don't understand. But you know what? I will answer this question in the way that I understand what you're asking. And the tea related gang, no, yeah, we don't talk a lot about depression. And so I want to talk about that actually. The tea gang, I like that. I want to talk about that because, yeah, we do need to talk more about it. And I feel like among like the tea talks, like the tea gang that we meet up on Thursdays that Jim was talking about, yeah, we certainly will hold each other accountable and hold space for each other. But I feel like even in like tea shops or at tea festivals or within the different tea communities there, just like with any kind of community within our current society, there's a little bit of taboo around talking about depression. And so what happens is, no matter how deep the discussion is going to go, like, people just avoid the discussion. They're not going to talk about their own mental health. Among our tight, close little circle, our little tea gang that we meet, we certainly talk about that. And then, so Thursdays I stream, and so I will specifically not stream for the first hour or so that we are together, because I like to allow that time to be like a safer, more intimate space for us to talk about those things, like, without streaming, because it's difficult to talk about that while streaming as well, especially if it's like your personal stories around how you're feeling. But yeah, there's just, in general, I don't think that there is a lot of depression related questions. I kind of like on Twitch how depression and talking about depression has been normalized. That's one reason why I like Twitch. Like, I go on to streams, even some like gaming streams, and not to say that everybody is doing a good job at it, but there are a lot of people that, like, even in chat, kind of the intimacy, and then the ability to be anonymous really helps to bring out these conversations. And I like that, like, people in chat will feel like empowered, and this happens on Reddit as well. Like, they will feel empowered to talk about these things because there's not really any consequences. Like, if things get bad, they can always just leave the channel. And then, like, people holding space on the channel, the streamer, I like how people, like, immediately address it and will say, yeah, let's talk about this. So you've got friends here, like, we'll help you with anything. You can always reach out. Yeah, at the tea table, it's not a top question. All right, we did get a question from Reddit. Thank you for that, Loki. What's the weirdest tea you've ever had? That's a good question. That's a fun question. What is the weirdest tea? I don't know. So there's like there's a whole series of fermented teas from Japan. So we have fermented, like this tea right here that I'm drinking right now, this Shangpur, it's currently in a fermentation process. Like, as it's aging, the dried leaf that I'm storing here is fermenting. It does get inoculated with the natural flora in the air, and starts to process, the sugars and make its byproducts of how we get, like the darkened, aged pu'er. But this fermented tea from Japan is like pickled, and it tastes sour. Like, this is not sour at all. If anything, it's just a tad bit astringent, just from like the freshness in the leaf. But the Japanese fermented green tea probably has been like the weirdest tasting. Like, when you drink the cup, it tastes like pickle juice. It's like sour like that. What do you think of kombucha? I like kombucha. I like it. I don't make it. I probably should, just because, especially during the pandemic, I've been like settled here in Las Vegas for so long. It'd be so easy for me to keep a SCOBY going, as well as like a sourdough starter. I haven't done that either. I certainly cook almost all of my meals completely from scratch, but like, I haven't been keeping these like fermented type of goods because I'm usually always traveling, and so I don't have a lot of time to tend to things. But I should have been doing it during the pandemic. But I like kombucha. I don't drink it like leisurely. You know, like there's like this movement for the past decade or so. You know, every convenience store you go to now, you can get a bottle of kombucha, which is great because it's healthy. It's certainly healthier than, you know, soft drinks, the conventional high fructose corn syrup soft drinks. But just like with like a bowl of ceremonial grade matcha, I don't consume kombucha like on a daily. And when I do consume it, I feel like it's a very strong, like all of the fermentation that happens in it has a very strong effect on the body. And I find it to be very healing, actually, with digestion. So like if I eat a heavy meal and like my stomach is just feeling like, rather than drinking like a bubbly water or, you know, Sprite or something, I think kombucha is great for that. And I'll never drink more than, you know, a small amount. If I ever buy a bottle at the store, it takes me a while to drink that bottle. But, you know, the marketers that are developing this industry certainly are trying to create this like kind of casual, high quantity consumption of kombucha, which I don't know if there's necessarily bad effects to it, but like kombucha requires, hey, thanks for the follow, Boba Bay. Did I read that right? Boba Bay? I like that name. That's a cute name. Boba. You like boba, I'm guessing. Oh, Boba Bay, thanks for coming from Reddit. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little Reddit to Twitch dance, even though we're supposed to be talking about sleep. You know, movement and exercise helps with the sleep, so I'm getting myself ready for my sleep. That's awesome, Boba Bay. Yeah, Jim, you might like that kind of tea. Let me get the name for it. I just looked it up. I don't deal in this kind of tea. I will, you know, in the future once. Yeah. Goishicha. I knew the name. I was going to say I just wanted to make sure that I was saying it right. Goishicha. Goishicha. They make it from the bancha, which is like a roasted green tea, and then they ferment it, and it tastes sour. It's interesting. Fascinating. It's kind of hard. So like cup of tea where I sent you to go get tea before, I don't think she'll have that type of tea. You kind of have to go to like a specialty shop. I'd actually recommend buying it from like an online vendor in Japan. It's a very specialty, you know, type of tea. Not a lot of it is made. It's made in very specific places in Japan. So like I don't carry it. Like I usually only work in like kind of the bulk teas that are, you know, kind of found all over the place. So Boba Bay is asking for learning resources. Well, welcome. You are certainly welcome to hang out here, learn here. The purpose of this Twitch channel, and we do have a YouTube channel, and we have other social media outlets, so you can follow any of those that work for you, but like a big focus on the content that we do is education, but also having a fun time at the same time, because I think it's really important that tea remains accessible and not like this like very kind of connoisseur level thing that's like unobtainable by everybody. We all have the right and the privilege to enjoy tea. What's the most overrated tea in your opinion? That's a great question. A lot, you know. I mean, what's the most one? You're asking for like that qualifier? Because I mean, for the most part, like friggin' Tivana is all overrated. You know, it's sexy. That's the term my friends in China have taught me about the difference between like this type of tea and then, you know, like a peach strawberry scented pu'er that you would have seen at a place like Tivana. You know, scented teas and flavored teas, it's a trick. You know, like they take teas that are really low in value. Those are very easy to find. They're, you know, accessible and all over the place, and you can get them in large quantities. But those types of teas don't have like memorable, elegant character to it. And so what they do is they essentially add perfume. So, I mean, that's the lowest hanging fruit. Now, if you want to like ask me what's the most overrated tea from like a tea nerd perspective, like if you already done forgotten and moved on from the flavored teas and you're doing like pure whole teas, you know, I would say maybe like duck shit oolong, for, you know, Phoenix Mountain oolong. It's just like a funny name. But like in China itself, it's like one of the like lower regarded cultivars from that area. So I don't know like what perspective you asked me that question from, but I answered it in 2 ways for you. Hey, I would like to talk more about CBD. I don't talk a lot about CBD on the stream because there's just not, I mean, there's interest, but then there's also kind of not. But I do work with hemp farmers, and we are selling and distributing their hemp flower for the purpose of making into tea blends, which, you know, someone was asking about anti-anxiety. That's like really the only compound or the only plant that I will directly say this, like, this will pointedly help you with your anxiety. It will pointedly help you with your pain management, which, you know, those are all interconnected things. A lot of times the pain that you feel is from, you know, lack of sleep or too much anxiety within the muscles in the body, that, you know, a tea lifestyle and just all teas in general and just like the practice of brewing and enjoying teas is going to help with that. But CBD has been found to really help with that. Share the secret. Yeah. People are interested in CBD, you know, like, and I feel like people are interested more so, they're interested in healing, right? Okay, so I think that's the overall thing. I think that we're just a little confused about how to approach healing, either from a holistic perspective, which I think is going to be the most sustainable and long-lasting, beneficial way of talking about it, but we've been conditioned with modern medicine to expect things to just work for us right away and just be like this easy thing. And the holistic approach takes lots of steps to it. That's why I'm really excited about promoting the hemp flower. And the reason why I'm promoting the hemp flower instead of it being like CBD tea is because here in the United States, the FDA does not legally allow you to sell food products that have CBD in them. But you can have hemp in your product. And it's all just like a labeling issue. It has nothing to do with the law because here in the US, our current US Farm Bill does fully legalize the growing, marketing, and retailing of hemp products, industrial hemp products. So everything is legal. It's just from the FDA, which is a completely different siloed portion of regulation for this industry. They do not allow you to list CBD. Like, they have not gone through the bureaucratic system of like officially recognizing CBD as a generally regarded as safe ingredient. But hemp is, so you can call it hemp. But having the hemp flower, the tea as the tea, so you brew the flower itself. CBD is not directly water soluble, and so when you're brewing the tea like that, like, you're not extracting like all the CBD like when you you know what I mean. But then at the same time, like, people do experience like a subtle relief from it, a subtle like anxiety relief from it. So it's weird. It's like, it's not directly CBD. It's like very holistic and very whole, very clean and pure. But it's not CBD. But people aren't really interested in that. People are interested in CBD. They're like, oh, do you have like a pill, or is this like a gummy I could take or something that's like dosed exactly at the milligrams that I want? And it's like, I think that there's a lot of value in trying Yeah, you guys keep talking about this secret. I don't know if I mentioned a secret. I mean, I talked about my superpower of being able to sleep. You know, I get 8 hours of sleep on average every night. Even if I'm like going through crazy travels or whatever, I can like force myself to sleep to catch up, or I can like sleep in very uncomfortable, unique situations and sleep heavily and get the rest that I need so I can wake up and like not be jet lagged. Like I hardly ever get jet lagged. I think I've gotten it like twice in my life with all the traveling that I do, the crazy traveling that I do. All right, so Jim asked about how does Hawaiian tea compare tea from India and China. It's super artisanal. That's the main comparison. And like the terroir, like if you want to like just know like the baseline differences in character, like the terroir notes of those different regions, Hawaii has only been explained to have like a tropical terroir, like tropical fruits, like it's like the aromas and the essence of tropical fruit as they drink the tea. Like that is the only common like terroir note that I've heard from people tasting the tea. But from a quality and logistical standpoint, tea grown in Hawaii is grown in very, very small plots, like 1/4 of an acre, 1/2 of an acre. Even in like artisan small scale production in China, they're still working with maybe 4 acres, 3 to 4 acres, or they may have several different plots that they're able to harvest the tea from. And then the factory, they're able to do larger batches when they process the tea. In Hawaii, they are working with very, very small gardens and very handmade. And so like you can even tell the difference. Like if you go to the website, the Tea and Its People website, I'll put it in chat, and you go look at the Hawaii tea versus like the Chinese or the Indian teas, like even visually in the photo you will see a difference. Like the Hawaii Spring White is this gorgeous, immaculate like piece of art, because he makes Bob, when he makes the tea, he makes it in like 1/2 pound batches, like super tiny batches. So like every single shoot, every single little leaf set, he is able to really put a lot of focus and attention and quality into it. Oh, Joel, you're the one talking about the secret. Yeah, I don't got no secret for you, man. I don't got no secret for you. Oh, so here's the secret. Is there any tips on how to drink lots of tea without going to the toilet? Well, that's funny that you ask that question, because I was in Taiwan one time, and this guy, he was halfway joking, but I think he was being fully serious. He said the way that you know you're a tea master is if you can have 100 cups of tea without going to the bathroom. I don't know what it is. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Like when it comes to your kidneys and your urinary tract, I don't know how to hack those things. I don't think it's smart to try to hack those things, right? I think it's smart to just listen to the body. So Grateful Me asks, what do you think about kratom? Well, I'm not super familiar with kratom. I've actually heard it's a very powerful medicine for certain things. But as far as kratom as like a recreational type of, or even like a lifestyle, so like let's say you're taking kratom to treat something, and this I think ends up being the case for a lot of people that develop, you know, a habit of consuming kratom, is they will start using it for a specific reason, and it works for them. Like I've heard it works wonders, and I'm curious and looking forward to learning more about it. As of right now, kratom is actually illegal to import. And I'm an importer, and I've been asked by, and in proposition with very large business opportunities to import kratom, but I've come to learn that it's that would be smuggling, and it's illegal to do that. And I'm trying to keep my business all on the up and up on that, you know. But from what I've heard, you know, the anecdotal evidence that I've heard of it healing, I think I'm curious of learning more about it, and potentially it will be deregulated, at least for importing. It's only illegal to import it. It is completely legal to sell it like as a product, to retail it, or to sell it completely legal. So it's confusing. But anyway, I think people start using it as like a helpful medicine for them, and then will like self-prescribe it as like a lifestyle type of item to maintain certain something. And you know, just like with lots of other plant medicines that have similar type of healing properties, such as like ayahuasca or something like that, I have no judgment on it, but I just got a question from like a scientific perspective and a medicinal perspective is if these are meant to be like therapies or treatments to something, like what is the boundary of when it starts to become like recreational? You know, because I have a lot of friends that, you know, maybe they used ayahuasca to start something, to heal something, to work on something, and then it became like a regular thing where they're doing this healing all the time. And it makes me wonder if this plant and this medicine is so powerful, like why does it have to be a continual, you know, consumption type of a thing? Because yeah, kratom, there's a whole like lifestyles and even kind of like a social gathering environments around kratom. So, you know, it definitely has that kind of recreational type of vibe to it. Goodbye, Joel. Thank you for hanging out with us. Rest well. Sleep tight. What do I think about teas from Southeast Asia? I think that most teas come from Southeast Asia. Actually, I take that back. Africa and South America are quickly becoming the largest tea producing regions in the world. But yeah, teas from Southeast Asia, that's legit, you know? That's the thing. I don't know. That's a very broad question. Oh, Jim, thank you. Well, Jim did a little research for us, Jim from Twitch, and he says the Mayo Clinic website says kratom is unsafe and ineffective. So there's established medicine saying it's not a good thing. Yeah, Malawi has some good tea. Not a whole lot. Yeah, the Zomba pearls. That's definitely a good tea coming from Malawi. That is not the typical tea coming from Malawi, though, Jim. I think it's really important to establish that because, like, majority of Malawi and actually that Setembwa tea estate that the Zomba pearls come from, they used to be part of that conventional Malawi tea industry, which is mostly CTC. So we got a couple questions. So do I drink Moroccan tea? I think I've had like a Moroccan tea service like one time, and maybe I've gone, but I'm not super familiar with the Moroccan tea. I think it's got a lot of mint in it, which is nice. Any caffeine free that you'd recommend for a pregnant woman? Well, yeah, there's lots of caffeine-free teas. So the more processed and roasted and like heat applied to the tea leaf in the processing, the lower caffeine. So if you ever see like a high roasted oolong tea or high roasted green tea, such as hojicha, so that's a Japanese green tea. So like that's the tea that they serve to the kids and they serve to everybody. Is caffeine free. You know, you could drink all of it you want, and it's just like nice and toasty and sweet and very like mellowing and warming. But if you want to open up a lot of variety, you can look beyond tea to tisane. So tea is any, you know, dried leaf that you're infusing as a tea coming from the Camellia sinensis plant. So that's green, black, white, oolong, pu'er tea. All of those teas have caffeine. Now you can apply processing to the tea to like reduce the caffeine through like heating it or things like that. But all tea has caffeine in it. But also all tea has L-theanine. I think that this is a good segue to start looking at the article that I found for us to look at today as we talk about the importance of sleep and how tea can help with a healthy sleep lifestyle. All right, we're going to Google Scholar. Going to be a little smarty here. I like to go to Google Scholar versus like just going instead of just going to Google or to Wikipedia. Although, I also visit Wikipedia and just like the old dictionary. It's always fun. But for things like this, I'm gonna do a little lit review on Google Scholar. And unfortunately, a lot of the articles, I don't have full access to them. So we're gonna be lazy and we're gonna do the thing that like a lot of researchers and scholars don't like us to do. We're just gonna look at the abstracts for most of these things, but I'm sure we can learn something from them. And what I figured we could do is like when we learn something or we want to research something else, we can do shoot-offs and just kind of go down a rabbit hole to understand, specifically around L-theanine. So I've talked about L-theanine for brain health. In the very first of the series, the very first Friday of this year, I did, the topic was specifically on brain health and tea. And so I studied L-theanine and like optimized L-theanine production in tea. But today what I want to look at is specifically around the effect of L-theanine in sleep, right? So this article here, which was published in 2012 in Pharmacology, Biochemistry and Behavior Journal. So this has got some age on it. It's not brand new research. Yeah, yerba mate. I don't know if you were recommending yerba mate for a pregnant woman, but I would not recommend that. Especially if a pregnant woman really is concerned about caffeine. I would definitely stay away from the yerba mate. It's very high in energy, and actually high in other compounds like the guarana, which is like. Not a whole lot of research has been done on the interactions of that. And in fact, there is a long lineage of it consumed as a product. So like, I always trust that. Like, what have we been doing for generations? If it's working for people, then, we should trust that. But if you look at products like yerba mate or even the native cousin of that plant here in North America called yopan, if you look at the indigenous consumption of that plant medicine, it was very kind of ceremonial, and it wasn't a casual drinking thing. So I think we got to be really careful if we're going to start making like trendy drinks, or we're going to start making, ready to drink things, dosing it with these kind of powerful plant medicines. We really need to understand the effect. And guarana, which is in yerba mate, that works with the caffeine to create the energy. That's why yerba mate energy is a lot different than coffee energy or tea energy. That's what's used in energy drinks. And so that tells you a lot. Like the scientists have discovered actually this is the compound that really gives us the energy, not just the caffeine. And so that guarana extract is used a lot in, and it's extracted from yerba mate. It's used in energy, like Monster and Red Bull and all of those things. All right, so the title of this article is L-theanine partially counteracts caffeine-induced sleep disturbances in rats. I hate rats, but this is science, so I'm going to tolerate the rats for a second. You guys want to know something funny about me? I'm not afraid of much. I'm actually a pretty fearless type of person, but there's one thing that I have a very irrational fear of, and that's rats. It's ridiculous. If I see a rat, I like make the worst assumptions about the intentions of the rat, and it's like the rats can hear that and feel that and sense that from me, and I lose it. I run around like a maniac, and I often break things. I was in Mumbai a couple of years ago, and we had a long day walking around Mumbai, going to different meetings. And by the afternoon, the sun gone down, we found a restaurant that we wanted to go to. And it was in an alley. And the restaurant wasn't quite open yet. So they said, here's a chair. You guys can sit outside while we set up the restaurant. We'll be open soon. You guys can have the first table. And so we were sitting there for like half an hour. And I saw from across the way of the alley, and there was like an apartment building, and at the bottom of it, there was a light was on inside the building, and I could see a rat running around. Like, well, at first it came down the stairs, and like it freaking owned the place, you know? And I just like started imagining the worst, and I told my friends that I was with, I was like, hey, I see a rat over there. The thing is not making me happy. I'm not liking that rat. And my friend like punked me, and she's like, look, it's coming. And she had no idea what that was going to do to me. She said that just to kind of troll me a little bit. And in my imagination, I totally saw that rat coming towards me. Like it probably did turn and start coming towards, but it was far away. But I just imagined this thing was running right to me. I freaked out. I jumped up. I broke the chair that I was in. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And I'm like trying to hide behind this little like wooden folding chair. And the restaurant workers come out and are like, what's going on? And I like broke their chair. I'm like, I'm so sorry I broke your chair. I'm just too crazy scared of the rats. You used to work in a rat lab at college? Cool. What did you study in rats, Jim? All right, I'm going to read this extract and see if we can get smart. L-theanine has been reported to inhibit the excitatory effects of caffeine. The present study examined the effects of L-theanine on caffeine-induced sleep disturbances in rats. Rats received the following drug pairings: saline and saline, caffeine and saline, caffeine followed by various doses of L-theanine. Vigilance states were divided into wakefulness, transition to slow wave sleep, and rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep. Caffeine significantly increased the duration of wakefulness and decreased the duration of slow wave sleep and REM sleep compared to the control. Although L-theanine failed to reverse the caffeine-induced W increase at 22.5 and 37.5 milligrams per kilo, it significantly reversed caffeine-induced decreases in slow wave sleep. In conclusion, low doses of L-theanine can partially reverse caffeine-induced reductions in slow wave sleep. However, effects of L-theanine on caffeine-induced insomnia do not appear to increase dose dependently. Interesting. Oh, you're researching behavioral psychology. Cool. Let's look at these figures. I guess it's not going to... Yeah, we gotta pay. We gotta pay like $30 to view this. So basically what this is saying is that even if the L-theanine does positively affect caffeine's effect in our body to like not sleep, it's only going to help us with the slow wave sleep versus the REM sleep. Huh, that's interesting. And REM sleep is what we need for like complete restfulness, right? That's the... Let's check out this one. So this is talking about GABA. So GABA is a compound that is naturally occurring in lots of products, not just in tea, but a process has been developed, especially with Taiwanese teas, to increase the GABA output in the tea. So sometimes you will see GABA oolong. It doesn't have GABA added to it, because I think you can get GABA as like a supplement. No, it's like naturally occurring GABA in the tea. And that has been proven to help with like a mental... That's an anti-anxiety, actually. if you wanted to find like an anti-anxiety tea. That would be it, GABA oolong. But I've got a friend in Ecuador. She's a part of our little tea gang that meets on Thursdays. Her name is Priscilla. She is a psychiatrist, and she's been experimenting with treating her patients with the GABA tea, and she's actually finding good results, and nothing that's published. Oh, interesting. So Jim says, okay, so the shortwave sleep is probably the most important because it helps with daytime effectiveness. And that's what we need, right? We need to be well rested so that we can be energized for the movements that we need for creating value in this world. So good. Thanks for that, Jim. So I guess then, yeah, the L-theanine will help you get that kind of sleep. I had always heard, though, that, like, yeah, REM sleep is good for... like, putting yourself into that, like, state of presence and selfness. Okay, so NREM is non-rapid eye movement sleep, or also known as quiescent sleep. Dreamless sleep. The breathing and heart rate are slow and regular, blood pressure is low, and the sleep is relatively still. So yeah, that's like equilibrium. So I understand that's good. That's like the same effect that tea, the chi, not necessarily the L-theanine. I'm sure that there's some interrelation and interactivity between the different compounds, but chi, like when you talk to a Chinese tea master, when they talk about like traditional Chinese medicine and tea's role in it, they say it's a proactive medicine because the chi like equalizes the energies in your body, the same as this non-rapid eye movement sleep. Oh, interesting. But some research indicate that too much REM might contribute to depression, right? Because like that's like a spiritual experience. That then being in that state of like lucid interactivity with like your creativity, yeah, it can put you in your mind, I guess. Maybe you lose contact with the material world. I could see that. Like if you're too much in that lucid state. Yeah. There's a movie about that. I think it was called The Science of Sleep. It was a Spanish movie. It was a great movie. I remember it's like 20 years old now, the movie, but it was kind of about this guy that loved being in his dreams. And so he would do that, you know, and he dealt with a lot of like social issues and depression and whatnot. All right, so here's another article called, and this was published. Are we gonna get the full article? Oh, great, we're gonna get the full article, guys. Awesome. This is published in Pharmaceutical Biology in 2019. So this is relatively newer research. Sleep loss and other related disturbances pose an important health problem as they can lead to significant functional impairments. Sleep disturbances can affect daily life considerably and reduce the quality of life. Well, you know, we're here to talk about how we can get the best life. The importance of a good night's sleep is well established. Nevertheless, many people suffering from sleeping disorders prefer not to use hypnotic drugs despite providing effective symptomatic relief. Hypnotic drugs such as benzodiazepam, I don't, doxepin, zolpidem, I don't know these drugs, but they can cause unexpected side effects and can lead to drug resistance and dependence. Okay, got it. These types of sleeping drugs are not suitable for the treatment of temporary anxiety or sleep disturbances used to the observed drug resistance and dependence that have been associated with their long-term use. Don't do drugs, drink tea. Therefore, it is necessary to develop new bioactive substances derived from natural sources that present with similar efficacy but fewer side effects than hypnotic drugs for the successful treatment of sleep-related disturbances. Hello guys, like why do we have to develop new bioactive substances? Why do we have to develop them? They freaking already exist, especially if we're going to be researching from natural sources like this article just says. But anyway, that's that divide between like the science and the spiritual that like we really need to bridge. Why glutamilethamine, also known as L-theanine, we'll keep it at that one, and GABA, which is Y-aminobutyric acid, are known agents for improving sleep disturbances. GABA is a non-proteinogenic amino acid and is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the mammalian brain. Hence, GABA receptors are a primary target in the search for natural anxiolytic compounds or sedatives. There is an increasing interest in investigating the effect of GABA-mediated inhibitory neurotransmission in respect to its potential benefit on counteracting sleep disruption caused by various conditions such as stress, diseases, and caffeine intake. Therefore, GABA is widely used in functional food and pharmaceutical industries, and various researches have been investigated by biosynthesis and their efficacy as metabolites of plants and microorganisms produced by the decarboxylation of glutamic acid. L-theanine, an amino acid exclusively found in tea leaves, composed only 1 to 2% of the weight of the dry tea leaves, and is chemically or biologically synthesized for use as an active ingredient that induces sedation. There are several reports indicating that L-theanine exerts neuroprotective effects, modulates neurotransmitter activity, and reduces psychological stress and sleep disturbances. Also reported that L-theanine intake increases serotonin, dopamine, and GABA levels in the brain. Hi, Melissa. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Jim's got it. Jim knows what's up. Jim just says, tea has so many chemicals that are beneficial. Just drink tea. Yes, just drink tea. Yeah, Melissa, I hope you're enjoying some tea. If you're trying to enjoy some tea tonight before bed, I'd recommend that Black Pearl. That'll probably be the most chill. And you could like start brewing it now, and if you wanted to like save the leaf for tomorrow morning when you get up to have some nice tea, you could do that. You can save the leaf. You don't have to like drink all the steeps tonight right now. You can, just keep your leaf for tomorrow. I do that all the time with my leaf to save it, because you don't want to waste any tea. No way. In recent years, there have been numerous relaxation beverages available on the market containing relaxation-inducing nutraceuticals such as valerian, L-theanine, GABA, 5-HTP, and the sleep aid melatonin. Therefore, the combination of GABA and L-theanine may synergetically provide systematic relief for sleep disorders, despite the scarce experimental data supporting this process. The purpose of the study was to investigate whether the effect of GABA L-theanine mixture on sleep disturbances is greater than GABA or L-theanine alone, and determine the most effective dosing combination. Good, Jim. I'm glad. I want to, see you value, like really value and cherish your tea, versus thinking of it like a commodity. Like, oh, I've got more tea bags, I'll just make another tea bag. It's like, no, I cherish every single leaf that's here, and I'm going to enjoy every single one. So they did use mice in this study. I'm gonna skip all of this method of the research. I know it's fun. If we were doing research ourselves, we'd probably want to read this, but we're not. We're just here to learn the results. So let's just get to the results. Sleep latency and duration time following GABA or L-theanine administration were measured in the pentobarbital-induced sleep model to identify the optimal combination ratio for sleep enhancement. Sleep latency showed a tendency to decrease with increased GABA concentration, and sleep duration to increase with increasing GABA concentration. Regarding sleep latency, there was a significant difference following the administration of 100 milligrams per kilogram of GABA as compared to the control, but no significant differences with other GABA concentrations were observed. With regards to sleep duration, there was also a significant difference following 100 milligrams of GABA as compared to control. No significant differences of sleep duration were observed following the administration of any other GABA concentrations. What does this even mean? Pentobarbital-induced sleep. I'm going to look that word up. The testing. It was carried out to assess the potential sleep enhancement. Well, that's good, Jim. You're getting to know your tea. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, that sticky rice. That's a good one. Oh, it's just anesthesia. A sodium pentobarbital is anesthesia that's used in testing. So it's just, yeah, they just put to sleep. They got put to sleep. Yep, a sedative. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. It's a sedative. I learned that quickly. Okay, and I just had to double check. Sleep latency is like the time it takes to fall asleep too. So just a little definition on that. All right, so following the administration of 20 to 30 milligrams per kilogram of L-theanine, sleep latency significantly decreased. However, the administration of 40 milligrams per kilogram of L-theanine not decrease sleep latency. That's interesting. So let's see the chart here. That sleep latency, this is the total time of sleep. Interesting. So like This is the thing that's weird about research. You put like all the time into doing the freaking experiment, and then you like process all the results, and it's like, hey, okay, so 20 and 30 looks good. Looks like 20 is like, or no, 30 is the ideal dosage to like reduce the sleep latency. But then once you hit 40, which you think, okay, it's more than, it goes 20, 30, and then it goes back down, or the efficacy. All right. When compared to controls, total sleep time increased in L-theanine treated animals at a dose of 20 milligrams, but not with 30 or 40 milligrams. So that's confusing too. So it looks like there's not, like, for L-theanine specifically, it looks like with GABA, there's a pretty steady. So yeah, GABA may be a more powerful tool for sleep than the L-theanine. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate you. The induced changes in sleep latency and duration time by different ratio combinations of GABA and L-theanine were measured. The sleep latency of animals that were administered with either of the GABA-L-theanine dose combinations, 80-30 and 100-20, was slightly lower than the control group. With respect to sleep duration, sleep time showed a tendency increase in all dose combination groups. It says the combination of a dose rate of 100 to 20 milligrams of the GABA L-theanine evoked the highest sleep duration increase. The effects of the best sleep promoting GABA L-theanine dose combination were compared to the changes in sleep latency and duration induced by the single administration of GABA or L-theanine. The combined use of GABA L-theanine showed a decrease in sleep latency and an increase in sleep duration compared to the single administration of GABA or L-theanine. The combined use of GABA L-theanine showed synergy effect on sleep latency and sleep duration time. Oh, so that's the best. The best is to have both of them. So now I know what to recommend to people when they need tea for sleep. I do not read tea bags. Sorry about that. If you want to see what I'm reading here, I do have it on the back of my screen on the Twitch channel. You can come to the Twitch channel, come meet the community there, hang out, have some fun. Have some fun. We got some cool emotes there. If you like emotes, we got them. I'm supposed to be like putting you guys to sleep, but man, we got a little dance party here. It's cool. This is chill. This is chill. We're chilling. What is sleep architecture? Interesting. I'm gonna zoom this in. I'm so sorry. I've been so rude to you guys, not giving you guys a good view of this article. Here we go. Here's it about the sleep architecture. EEG parameters were recorded to more accurately confirm the synergetic effect of the GABA L-theanine mixture observed in the sleep model. The changes in sleep time and architecture were measured after a single administration of GABA 100 milligrams or L-theanine 20 milligrams and after the GABA L-theanine mixture. The longest sleep time recorded following the oral administration of GABA L-theanine. However, no significant difference in sleep time was detected between GABA L-theanine mixture and L-theanine alone. The most reduced awake time was detected after oral administration of GABA L-theanine mixture and was significantly different from control. Single GABA administration significantly increased rapid eye movement sleep time as compared to the control group. That there were no significant difference in non-REM sleep time compared to the control group. Single L-theanine administration, 20 milligrams, significantly increased REM time when compared to the controls, but there was no significant difference in NREM sleep time compared to the control group. That's different than the other study, right? Didn't the other study only find a significant effect on... Hey, Jim. Yeah, you got the emotes. I should turn on an overlay of letting the emotes come into the screen. That'd be fun. So let's look at these charts here. So this is for the longest sleep. GABA L-theanine at 100 to 20 milligram. So yeah, this is different than the other study. The other study had found that this sleep here was most affected by the L-theanine. But it does look like the L-theanine affected it more than the GABA. And the combination was kind of the same. But where the combination was better was in the sleep time, the total sleep time. The wave was significantly increased. What is this sign here? I don't know this letter. I'm guessing that's like a Greek letter. Theta. Got it. I should know that. It just looks weird. I never seen it look like that. The theta wave was significantly increased after GABA or L-theanine single infusion, as well as after GABA L-theanine combined administration. And then what is this? This is the what wave? And I don't even know what the theta. Is this a type of sleep or delta? Oh, that's a delta. I usually write delta as like a triangle, right? I guess it's just the font. Delta waves show a tendency to decrease when GABA or L-theanine was separately administered and after GABA L-theanine, but there were no significant differences between groups. Let's check out this. How do they have these different groups? For 9 days divided into 3 periods, total sleep time increased and awakening time decreased from first to third period in all sample groups. So this is interesting, right? Okay, I'm gonna read that again. Total sleep time increased and awakening time decreased from first to third period in all sample groups. So it means over time, they had more sleep and less awake time. So okay, let's get to the discussion. This is interesting. Hey, Lord, what's up, man? What's up, Lord? I'm gonna drink some tea. I'm gonna make some tea for you guys. For you guys, for me. I need it. But it's gonna benefit you guys because then I'll be more focused and I'll be better. I'll be better at streaming and holding space for you guys. Yeah, GABA. What's up, Nick? Welcome. Thanks for coming. You know about GABA. Yeah, we're talking about GABA and L-theanine today. We're talking about sleep, first and foremost. Nick, welcome to the stream. Every Friday night, I like to come on and talk about. I'm gonna take a little break from the books and get back to my peaceful spot, my room, drinking some tea. I'm drinking some not aged. This does not have age, but it does have age. It's not aged, but it's gushu. So the trees are very old. The old tree Shung Puer from 2019. So definitely not aged. Cool, Nick. Yeah, I was talking about that. Like, I have a science background as well. Oh, so let's talk about this, Nick. I was addressing this earlier. My theory around tea and how like this tea I'm drinking right now. This is a very high energetic tea, right? The gushu tea leaf is coming from very old tea trees that have very deep roots. That has a lot of energy to it. So as I'm drinking this tea, I was taking a nap earlier, and that's actually why I made today's topic about sleep, because it's just so damn good. But I woke up from a nap earlier and I was a little groggy from that. So I decided I'm going to drink this high energetic tea to help me get on point and get flowing with the stream. But knowing that as soon as I go home, as soon as I want to rest myself and put myself to sleep, it's all about how you harness the energy, right? So you can harness the energy to like help you focus on your breath or meditate. And so that can help you put you into a restful state so that you can go to sleep even with all the caffeine that's here. And actually, I think this next part of the article that I'll be addressing, most of the other article we've been reading, the rest of it has been about the administration of GABA and L-theanine alone without the caffeine. But in the next part, they're going to talk about how when they added caffeine to the mix. And I'm looking forward to seeing the results. This is a research paper from 2019, so relatively recent research around GABA and L-theanine. Yeah, that's true, Nick. So Nick says, some old tea trees, the gushu, like this one I'm having here. Let me see. How you can tell it's old, it's kind of hard to tell it's old. You kind of have to taste it to taste the age to it. But you can almost see it. I mean, how large these leaves are. But even younger trees can have leaves looking like this, like large, broad leaves. This is just the the Assamica variety has the large, broad leaves. You really only taste the age in the tea. In the tea, you feel it. It's like wisdom. It's like your roots. Thanks. Yeah, all the beats that I play on my stream are from my good friend Sojourner. Sometimes he comes on stream. He brings synthesizers and other fun toys to my studio, and he'll make music with me. But Sojourner, this be him. Sojourner. He's based here in Las Vegas. He's a good friend. He's a good friend of T-Let. He's a good friend of mine. He basically plays every single music festival. He's just a good friend of T-Let. And I had asked him to help me with some music for a different media project. And crazy thing, he comes here with a hard drive with how many hours of music? I think I calculated it. Oh no, here it says 19 hours. 19 hours of all originally produced beats. So like these are not my beats. This is all Sojourner. But he says, here you have it. You can use it on your stream. So it helps me a lot with the the whole licensing stuff with my streaming. So I'm very appreciative to Sojourner. He sponsors the music here. Go check him out. He's really active on Facebook. Funny thing, I keep trying to get him to come onto Twitch, but I don't know. He's still stuck in the Facebook age. It's a lot of hours, but it's all pretty like acidy, but it's good. It's psychedelic. I have a short list of all the tracks that I hear that are like more down tempo or more easy listening for this media project that I'm doing. All right, so yeah, you were saying something. I'm going back up in chat. So you've heard that some of them are very good. So like, some of the gushu tea being made is very good, like this one. This is a very good one. But then some of them are undrinkable and have a crazy energy, or as I like to call it, wonky energy. It's got a wonky energy, and that's so true. And it's not suitable for the market. I'll tell you an interesting story. The first person that I ever went to go source tea in Yunnan is actually a very popular, highly regarded pu'er vendor in the U.S. based out of the Pacific Northwest. So you may actually know this vendor, Nick. And it was their first year to source tea. It was my first year to go to Yunnan to source tea. I'd actually already done a lot of work in Japan as well as in the United States, but it was my first time to go to China and to Yunnan. And so we connected actually through Reddit. We connected through Reddit, and we traveled together. And I won't go into great detail about the experience I have, but needless to say, I never traveled with this person again, and we have very different sourcing philosophies and what we're doing. And the main difference is like an approach of humility versus an approach of ego. And I just like, I don't know if it's because I'm a chick or whatever, but I just have like a major issue with approaching things with ego. I feel a lot more comfortable approaching things with humility. And so years later, we're still friends and we're drinking tea together. And their business has become very popular, very successful. Good for them, making tea popular. And they're very excited to show me their top-selling tea that I'd already sold out and like made them quite famous. And they're like, it's a very unique tea. Actually, it was the same village that we went to, and we met those people. Well, we went back, and those farmers said, hey, we got something really special for you. It's like really unique and really special, because this like the sourcing philosophy that they had the first year that we went with the ego was very much like, I know what I'm looking for. I need the most unique, craziest thing, because I need to bring something unique to the market. And so the next year when they went, of course, the farmers had something all lined up ready for them. Oh, we had to like hike to the special place of the mountain to find this special tree. And he had a picture of the tree, and it did not look like a Camellia sinensis assamica. In fact, it looked like a Camellia sinensis oleifera, which is a tree that's used, the seeds are used to extract the tea tree oil. So if you've ever seen like tea tree oil in cosmetics, has very strong antibacterial properties to it, is a good lubricant. It's actually used in the tea processing in China, but not drank. Like the locals know, you do not make tea from that plant. That's like poison. It's not for tea. Camellia sinensis assamica, or a couple of other varieties, but like the oleifera is just for the seeds. And we tasted the tea, and man, that wonky energy, like one sip and that was enough. I was like, my head is about to explode. I need to go eat some food. Like, this is crazy. And they're like, yeah, isn't it great? And it's interesting because like there's this whole kind of movement of like, I got a friend in Austin, Sohan. He coined the term pusaders. Like mostly young men that are like seeking this high, like they want the teas that are going to get them high, get them really up there. And so that's really dangerous, because then it's like supporting these vendors to go find products which may not actually be very safe for the market, as you say. Speaking as a martial artist, I didn't know you were a martial artist. That's great. I am not a martial artist, but I am a big fan of nunchucks. Big fan of nunchucks. I'm pretty proficient with the nunchucks. Never gone to any martial arts classes, but I like to play with fire. So I agree with the essence of what you're saying in theory, but I think there's also genetic biochemical tendencies that are more pronounced in some individuals than others. And I know I have a very sensitive nervous system. That seems to be something firmly ingrained in me as a human. Yeah, well, that's good that you know you. Yep. You obviously know you. I will get back to the article to see what results were found for the effect of the GABA and L-theanine on rest with the caffeine-induced wakefulness. Do I like living in Las Vegas? Yeah, I love it. It's a great place to live. You've been here a few times. It felt quite like a bizarre place to me. Well, the Strip is a bizarre place, but what's really cool is that the Strip is like just, 2 miles of one street, this highly concentrated, dense craziness, bizarre place, as you mentioned. And the rest of Vegas is actually a really cool, like, small town that supports that economy, that supports that business, operation. And that is like luxury entertainment, which you cannot provide luxury experiences and world-class entertainment without incredible artists, like international artists. And so those are the people that actually live here. And so when you start interacting with like the local restaurants, the local entertainment scene, what the people are working on when they're not on the Strip, working at the celebrity chef restaurants or, doing a show, a Cirque show. There's a lot of really cool, like, I hate to use the word underground because it's not really underground, but it's like the local scene. The local restaurant scene is great. My warehouse is in an exciting part of Las Vegas called Chinatown. Las Vegas actually has the largest Chinatown in North America, even larger than Vancouver's in Chinatown. And it's this long, sprawling, like 6-mile long strip of, it's mostly strip malls. It's not like a vertical development. But Chinatown has become the new go-to spot for even like American chefs or South American chefs or, any kind of ethnicity of food are setting up like more independent, even fine dining within Chinatown. So we have incredible options, and the Chinese food alone is great. Like we have very like focused regional cuisine. So if you're looking for specific things, it's done really well and really authentically versus just this homogenized Chinese food that we typically get. Not just here in the US, like I've come to learn in my travels that like Chinese food is a common thing, and everybody's Chinese food is very different. The Chinese food in Africa is very different than the Chinese food in the Caribbean, which is very different to the Chinese food that you find in India or the Chinese food that you find in the US. It's really cool. I'm just totally fascinated with all that. Oh, Jim, I didn't know you were from Detroit. Cool. We were talking, Nick and I were talking about Detroit the other night on his stream, Detroit techno. It's so funny. It was like, that's what I know Detroit for, is for the techno. Oh, you like Portland. Portland is a cool city. I won't say who the vendor is. I don't talk smack. Maybe offline if you want to talk about it. But I would say that like there's a whole class of pu'er vendors in the US that are targeting and working with this market, this niche market of pu'saters that are looking for like the higher wonky energetics in pu'er tea. All of them, pretty much. I mean, even something ubiquitous like Yunnan sourcing, which pretty much has everything. Yunnan sourcing is basically just a catalog of the Kunming tea market. So pretty much any tea that you could buy at the Kunming tea market is listed there. The good ones and the bad ones. And the wonky energetic ones. And there's even some Twitch streamers that are really into that. I consider them kind of pu'saters. But tea is a medicine. Tea is a very powerful medicine, and I think as a tea vendor, you have to put in extra work to be responsible in finding the right doses, as you will, because we essentially are dosing people. Not just even with tea. Like I work with some herbalists importing Ayurvedic herbs for them, like turmeric, tulsi. And turmeric is something I've come to learn is probably even more important than tea. That, the first time I went to India to meet with Ayurvedic farmers, organic Ayurvedic farmers there, You know, I have a reputation when I travel and meet with farmers. I have a reputation that I'm only there to buy their highest quality product. So like, only bring the best for me. Don't bring, you know, don't bring the other cheap stuff that you usually bring to the commodity buyers. Just bring me the best stuff. And so when I went to turmeric farmers, they were like, oh, the blue, they call it black. It looks blue, but it's black. They call it black. Black turmeric is the best. And this is all it. And the client that I was with was saying, you know, she's making like an everyday type of product. People are going to have like a daily habit of drinking this product. And when you're using medicinal grade products like that, you can almost like intoxicate people, overdose them, especially with something like turmeric. So we almost have to like get the lower grade turmeric when we go, because it's treated much more like a commodity. All right, Jim, thanks for coming. I hope you rest well. We'll see you next time. Love you very much. What? Okay, so Nick, you say that's not a good energy to me, and there's a lot of marketing trying to convince you otherwise. Are you talking about like trying to like heighten your energy beyond its own bounds? Are you a raver Burning Man type? I am not a raver. I am a dance music enthusiast. You say caffeine has a wakeful effect on people with ADHD often. Yep. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to wrap my head around ADHD. I don't know anything about it. And I know that there's a lot of claims on it, and there's a lot of weird backward stuff around some of the drugs that are used to treat it that I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I could do a deep dive just into ADHD at some point on one of these Friday night streams. Chinese experts basically never acknowledge these psychoactive effects, and it's not a part of the cultural mindset. Yeah. I don't know. I think it is a part. Just like how like yoga is a part of Indian culture, like the principles of yoga are, you know, totally a part of the underlying ethos and culture of Indian people. But you don't see Indian people like in yoga studios all the time doing yoga, right? So I kind of feel like that's the same way that like in China and Chinese culture, there is a deep kind of unquestioned understanding of medicine, of proactive medicine, energies, and all of that. And but they don't talk about it. They're not like, oh, this is, it's just like this underlying understanding of it that almost gets like, it doesn't get taken for granted. I think we may take it for granted, but for them, it's just, this is just how you deal with life. Cute guy. Cute guy for me. Nice. You drink tea 5 to 8 times a day. Is that bad for your health? It is not bad for your health, especially depending on the type of tea that you're drinking. I may be careful in that statement I just made, because if you're drinking, I don't know, I mean, even if it's like not organic tea and it's wonky energetic tea, as long as like you're still feeling comfortable and able to drink it, I think you should be fine. Oh, you never went to the strip when you came here? Oh, you do Aikido. Oh, cool. I'm interested in Aikido. So is that the martial art that you practice? I have never gone. Okay, so I have gone to one martial arts class. It was just one. A friend brought me, and it felt more like a church service than a martial arts class, but it was for an Aikido Ki dojo. And that was very interesting. That was powerful. I was like, I get it. I want to do this more, but I haven't, I'd be interested in exploring that. I researched a little bit on kind of the evolution from Aikido to Aikido Ki. All those kinds of stories are really fascinating to me. I like studying energetics like that. And I felt like, Aikido Ki was all about the energetics. Libertarian ethos of Nevada. Yeah, the pedestrian hostile nature of American cities in general, I dislike. Yeah, like we are very hostile to our pedestrians here. Bike riders as well. This is not a very bike riding friendly city. This is very car oriented. If you live here, you absolutely have to have a car. I was having lunch with a friend earlier today, and he was talking about that because his car had to go to the shop and he was without it, and he struggled a lot. Yeah, the Chinese food in Las Vegas is the bomb. Yeah, a lot of high level chefs are attracted to come work in the celebrity chef restaurants on the Strip or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's still a very corporate environment. Not only within the restaurant group's corporate environment, but within the casinos themselves. And that ends up being a bigger inhibitor for these chefs to really be creative. So for instance, on buying, purchasing, even if you've got freaking Spago or you've got, Robuchon, fanciest, most powerful restaurant on the Strip, when you're the chef there and you're ordering your products, you are only able to order from verified vendors through the larger corporate entities such as MGM or Caesar's Palace. So, and that process is very bureaucratic and very centralized and very concentrated in power, very similar to what you see in organized crime. So there may be some parallels there. I'm not making any claims, but there's some. I'm not in any of those bureaucratic systems. I will be though. I will be. I'm just I'm waiting for my right time to pull out with the nunchucks and be ready. What tea do you recommend for dinner or breakfast? Well, that depends on what you're eating for dinner or breakfast. So I'll give just some general insights. If you are eating something that's really fatty and oily, so maybe that'll be the dinner. I think typically, the meal that's eaten later in the day tends to be a heavier meal. I don't know if that's the healthiest thing to do, but I think that's a typical thing. And so oolong tea and pu'er tea helps with breaking down lipids in the body. Lipids is fat. So if it's oily, a fried meal, or even something like dim sum. And that's why, dim sum, the origin of dim sum, the word in Cantonese actually means to drink tea. And so going for dim sum is more of a tea drinking experience, and the snacks and the food that you eat there are to accompany the tea. And those tend to be very oily, heavier foods. And so that's why they serve the usually shu pu'er at dim sum in Cantonese restaurants, because that helps break down everything. Now, if you've eaten something light and healthy, maybe a green tea would be nice. Help, cool the body down with the fruits. I don't know. It just depends on what you're eating. Are your partners from Taiwan or from China? Vancouver's got an interesting Chinatown. I went for a tea festival at the gardens. Yeah, there's like a Chinese gardens in the middle of the Chinatown. That was like 2 years ago. I was there, and I ate some noodles. I went to a popular noodle shop, and it was okay. I didn't see a whole lot of like regional specific Chinese restaurants. That's what's unique about Las Vegas, even compared to like LA. So like in Los Angeles, there's a really large, sprawling kind of Chinatown in the San Gabriel Valley, which spans several different cities. It's huge. Even there, the regional cuisine is lacking. A lot of the restaurants are pretty much serving the same stuff. Here is like very regional, very authentic. Yeah, it's interesting. It always surprises people when they come here and they're like, whoa, the Chinese food's legit in Vegas. Yeah, that's a good vendor that you mentioned there. Although there was one shady thing I saw on their website one time and I was like, what? That's kind of shady. They admitted that they got duped into buying the wrong tea. Like they sampled one thing and then they received something else. And that happens all the time in the tea business. So what they did was they created a product and they admitted that first of all, they demanded a refund from the vendor, which I thought was kind of shady. That's the shady part about it. They required the refund from who they bought it from, and then they created a product where they sold this wrong tea, like this fake bad tea, as like an educational tool, which I thought was great, okay? Because like side-by-siding like the fake thing to the real thing and like letting people experience that themselves is a very powerful thing. But like I thought it was kind of shady. Like if you're going to sell that product, don't demand the refund. That mistake was made. And if you're going to demand the refund, then don't sell the tea. Like burn it or whatever you got to do. It's no longer available. That's funny. Yunnan sourcing is like the Walmart of tea. Yeah, turmeric is really good. And turmeric tea is nice too. We call them Pusaders, the poor crusaders. The Pusaders start viewing it as another substance to peddle. Yeah, I serve tea at a lot of music festivals, so like a Burning Man. I actually sponsor tea at several different tea camps at Burning Man, because I think that like if you're going to be serving tea as this like holistic kind of space holding medicine at a music festival, it should be good tea. It shouldn't be, some wonky energy stuff. So I donate tea to a lot of camps, and yeah, that's where I meet a lot of these Pusaders, and it's like, it's just another substance. Sometimes though, I do get somebody that comes to the tea table and maybe they're high on something and they'll be drinking tea for hours and they say, hey, I'm feeling better on the tea than I did. I came down from my cocaine earlier and I'm actually feeling better. Like, and it's like, yeah, there is some very important, powerful psychoactive properties to tea that can give you similar feelings of euphoria and empathy and power that you can feel from other substances, but then also really clean and really well-intentioned. You didn't go to the original Burning Man in San Francisco? I didn't either. I went to my first Burning Man in 2010. That same year, that was the first year that I started going to raves or I started listening to electronic music. I didn't before that. I don't know what I was doing before that. I don't know. I was busy being a good student and like taking care of life. And then when I was in the Peace Corps, there was no raving there. I was living in a Muslim community. But I will tell you, and Nick, you'll probably appreciate this, I lived in like the last stronghold of animism among Muslim West Africa. And that was an interesting place to be because the village was very small. Like, this was a very, very small village. I think there was only about 12 or so households in the village. Everybody knew each other. They were all one family in this village in the middle of nowhere. And yet they would host these events where hundreds of people would come from all over, and they would come dressed really nice, and they would bring gifts, and they'd create like these big ceremonies. Actually, in the concession that I lived in, the compound that I lived in, the family I lived with, the head of the family, he was like the head of all of the mediums. So like there was like a troupe of these like mediums that from their lineage. So that's how it works in animism, is you basically have like human mediums for spirits, and that medium and that spirit are forever connected, and you get connected from next of kin from a past medium. So when you're born into your family like knows your destiny, because if you're like the next to be born after a medium in the family from before has passed away, then that's your responsibility. You're to take over the spirit that used to be connected to the medium before. And so, yeah, the family I lived with, the father, the head of the family, was kind of the head of this troupe of mediums. And so they would do events in our little concession all the time, banging on drums, dancing, and then they start, getting possessed by spirits and crazy shit going down. So that was cool. That was very cool. But outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of raving. But I'll tell you what, those guys, like, it's funny because it was kind of like a circus type of a thing. People knew about this village that I was in, and so I would often get requests from American groups, including the Peace Corps volunteers I was, friends with. They would want to come and do ceremonies in my village. They'd want to come, basically seances. I don't know what you want to call them, but in the village, in the local language, they call it Nwasa, which means to play. So they would just play. And I did one night where I invited all these people to come and view it because they didn't believe me, and I couldn't take pictures or videos because they wouldn't allow me to do it. And so I was like, just come. We'll ask them to do it for us. And my buddy Joey, who is longtime raver from before, he was convinced. He was like, these people are on drugs. They are doing crazy shit. They are out of our minds. Like, we've got to figure out what drugs they're on, and we gotta get on them. And yeah. So anyway, long story, but that was my crazy raving experience in when I was in Niger. Lots of ADH, having taught many students with it, known many people with it, and having symptoms of it myself. You can also ask me about autism, encounter many people with it. Yeah, I think so. I think I have as well. And the interesting thing about the interactions that I've had with autism or whatever, definitely weren't defined as that. I've had very close relationships with people that, but they've never been diagnosed that, of course, because there's like this stigma around mental health. Like, no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to talk about our feelings. And, that was interesting. But in all of those relationships and situations, like, T became an important part of their life, even independent of me. So I think there's a lot of power to T, and I don't know the science behind it. Maybe not yet. It's to come, the research, but anecdotally, yeah, I've seen T treat. I've even seen T help people with like bipolar, to help kind of equalize. I had one friend that I met through just like a Christmas time marketplace I was at. He directly asked me, he's like, do you have any tea that's good for bipolar? I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. I was like, but like, I haven't read about tea negatively impacting those things. So what I'd recommend for you to do is just to taste a lot of different ones and find the one that like you just like drinking, the one that tastes best to you and you feel like you could drink daily. He ended up falling in love with kukicha, which is the Japanese green stem tea. And he started self-medicating himself with it, almost to a point where, I've lost contact with him, But he told me that he completely self-medicated with the tea and got himself off of everything else. And I was like, well, that's dangerous. Like, you definitely need to talk to your doctor about that. Because I think once you start being medicated, that throws everything off. Like, who knows what's going on? And I'm not an expert at, pharmaceuticals at all. Like, I'm not even familiar with it, so I can't speak on that. But I would assume that there are powerful things going on in pharmaceuticals, and once you start taking them and then trying to, like, take yourself off of them or mix other things into it, yeah, it's unknown. But when it comes to tea, if you're just having tea, like, there's a lot of knowns there, and it's very safe. The boundaries are very easy to establish and understand when it comes to tea. Like, literally, when you're drinking tea and you've had too much, your body tells you. You know, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. The Chinese term of cha-chi and the feeling, yes, but modern Chinese culture has a very strong stigma against mind-altering effect. Emotional reactions in general are not how people react to things in China. They don't say they're depressed. They say their head hurts. I've observed this in relatives and many times. I've never experienced that. Thanks for sharing that experience. I think that's a valuable experience. I'm like so late on reading your comments, but I'm going to get to all of them, Nick. Thank you for sharing so much. Oh, okay, so it is Aikido. So cool. Are you going to be integrating any of that stuff into your streaming? Okay, so your style is Kokikai. It's an offshoot of Ki Aikido. Okay, cool. And the founder is one of the top students of the founder of Ki Aikido, who himself was one of the top students of the founder of Aikido. That's what I heard. I had heard that story, that there was like a shoot off from the students. So that's cool. I like that. So it's like an evolution of thought. Generationally, new, better ideas come through. Who knows? Who's to know that they're better, but they're just relevant. Oh, and your partner's from Hangzhou. Great. So you guys probably drink a lot of Longjing. I do not import any Longjing from Hangzhou anymore because I cannot find organic. I can't find anything organic, anything honest, anything good, anything priced where it needs to be priced. So I've started importing all of our Longjing from a humble village in Gansu province. Very good. Very, very good. Super organic. It's a product that I can happily stand behind. Yeah, you might have walked by me. I did a presentation. You might have even come to my presentation. That's why I went to the tea festival. I did a presentation on tea ceremony. I believe, yeah, that was the year I did the presentation on the difference between ceremony and service. Like every year when I used to go to all the tea festivals, I would have like a certain theme, and so every festival I kind of gave the same presentation. And so that year was the year I was giving the presentation about defining ceremony and establishing, boundaries and understanding that, especially if you're a vendor of tea, you have to be really cautious of using the correct nomenclature, because when you're selling a product and introducing a product to a community, you are establishing that culture. And so, if you inject mysticism and, some kind of like undue fantasy and reverence to what you're doing, you're not only disrespecting the people that do practice those things, but you're doing a disservice to the community by educating, that intolerance and appropriation into that culture. Bitcoin, you want to come say hi? Talking about sleep, this little guy, he had a nice nap. He just woke up. He just wanted to come say hi. It's too bad Jim's already left. Jim loves Bitcoin. This is my dog, Bitcoin. He's a cutie. He's the cutiest of all the cuties. You can see his groggy eyes. You can see how tired he still is. But he likes to come on stream and hang out with you guys. Hey, come on. Yeah, he likes to hang out. He likes to hang out. Yeah, I like kombucha. I drink it occasionally. I don't regularly consume it, and I only drink it in very small quantities. Oh, that's cool. So Richmond, when I go to Vancouver, Richmond is where I need to go to the real Chinatown. Got it. Got it. Your link did not go through. So if you want me to see your local joint you like to go through when you go to eat, go ahead and whisper that to me. Pay attention to old wisdom. Yep, I'm all about that. Nick, I'm reading all your comments. Thank you so much for engaging, hanging out with me in Bitcoin tonight. Bitcoin, you want a treat? Wait, no. Here, come. You knocked over the tea fairy. Careful, Bitcoin. I like this track, but I'm supposed to be like lullabying it a little bit. Come on, can we turn around? Can you turn around? Look, your treat's over there. Little ASMR for you guys. You had an ethnomusicology professor who had some interesting experiences to read about. We're going through the Yoruba animism, spirit possession type stuff that she went through in Cuba. Yeah, so there's lineage, and you know, like a lot of that, the animism that's practiced in the Caribbean, its origins are from Africa. I went to a whole voodoo festival in Benin, the country of Benin on West Africa, which, you know, was a large kind of slave trade route, Benin and Ghana. But I think the highest concentration of animism in West Africa is in Benin, because for the most part that country did not experience, you know, like the jihad or whatever that had happened in Niger. So a lot of the animists have to be like closet animists, you know, because they still have to pray 5 times a day, but then, you know, like at the end of the day they still practice it. And actually the Niger government, the country that I was living in, the government every year before the rainy season, they would go to my village and they would hire the mediums to do their ceremonies. And you know, the mediums, the purpose of the ceremonies and what they do and how they're so valuable to the people that host the ceremonies is that the mediums and the spirits that possess them are kind of like fortune tellers. And they can tell you about the future. And so the only time that they would have these ceremonies is like before the rainy season. They want to find out how the rains are going to be, or when someone gets married, or, you know, before a child's being born. That's when they would host one of these ceremonies. And the government would come to the village to ask, you know, what the weather was going to be like during that rainy season. It's crazy. But they were still all, you know, going to the mosque and doing all those things. Right. He says that I think that there's an explosion happening around young people with regards to awareness and profusion of mental health issues and neurodiversity. Yeah, I think so too. I think that there's a lot of normalization, still a lot more that needs to be done. But definitely leaps and bounds farther than where than where we are, or where we were like 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago. But then, like, I think about, like, so you say, like, focus on old wisdom, which I think is so valuable. And that's in my travels and my experiences, that's what I've learned to hold on to and to appreciate. So I think about, the community that I lived with in Niger, even though it's a very different culture and a very different community than what I'm used to and what would be considered to be, like modern society, they are still doing things. The family structures, the daily tasks, you can tell it's like the same way it's been done for the last 500 years. And so I think there's a lot of power in seeing that. And so, I would look at issues like homelessness, which was non-existent there, and mental health, which there were people, that I interacted with and I saw in that society that you could tell, would typically in our society be considered, mentally unstable or, mentally handicapped. And even if they're like semi-independent or semi-functioning, there was a lot of support for them by the family, which is why like homelessness kind of didn't exist, because even if you're not fully functioning, your family and your community is just like without a question going to be there for you as your support system. And in the village that I lived in, the compound next door, there was, a son in the family that, had limited mobility and, couldn't communicate, and, would have like wild, erratic behavior here and there. And when I first moved to the village, I tried to have conversation with him, and I just didn't know, because no one like warned me or told me anything. And so like he'd come up to me, because I'm this unique looking thing. It's like, what's this white girl doing here? And I tried to talk with him, and he wouldn't talk. And, all the people in his family would be like, oh, don't worry about him. He's slow. And then, if I tried to ask more questions, I was there for 2 years. So, I developed very strong relationships with everybody in the community. And if I tried to ask, like what his condition was, or, there was not really a conversation about it. And it wasn't a good or a bad thing. It just was. And like, he experienced just as much love as everybody else in the village experienced. And he experienced just as much like autonomy and respect that everybody else in the village received. So, that's probably something that's always been, a factor in communities since the beginning of mankind. It's just different. Like it wasn't called mental health. It just was. It's like, you just slow. That's it. So I thought that was a pretty cool, valuable learning experience. Most of her relatives drink cheap green tea. All right, Jesse, I'll share your joke. Let's see if Reddit likes your joke. Jesse says, "What's the difference between a tea bag and the German football team?" A tea bag stays in the cup for longer. I'm guessing that the German football team did not do well in the cup. That's what I'm guessing is the nature of the joke. I don't keep up with football, or soccer. So I don't understand that joke fully, but I like that. Thanks for the joke, Jesse. I'm always welcoming to all the tea jokes. Bring them. Ace89 on Reddit asked, I can't sleep, any tea for that? Well, funny you ask that, because yeah, today's stream is talking about sleep, and I'm taking a break from the lit review that we've been doing to look at the nature of sleep and tea and the compounds in tea that help with sleep. And In the article that we're currently on, they did find a significant increase in the length of sleep, and then also a decrease in the latency for sleep. So that's your wakefulness before you go to sleep, with a combination of GABA and theanine. GABA is a pretty like prevalent compound that you find in lots of things, but there are some teas. There's like a vacuum process that's been found to increase the production of GABA in certain teas in Taiwan. And so you can actually find GABA specific teas, the GABA oolong tea. So maybe that could be a tea to try. And something else that helps with sleep and anti-anxiety also is hemp flower. I don't think I have a cup of it readily available here, but that's like from the hemp plants. So industrial hemp, which is now legal to grow and market here in the U.S. And I think also several other places around the world. But this is like, so CBD is extracted from industrial hemp. But you can actually drink just the hemp flower steeped as a tea, and anecdotally have just seen that it helps with anxiety and restfulness. Well, Bitcoin, you gonna show your butt off to everybody? Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Keep that butt raised. Yeah, Bitcoin's definitely into the ASMR. Let's see. Let's get him another treat. You guys deserve it. You guys deserve to hear him crunch, crunch, crunch. Crunch, 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 crunch. Come on. Come on. You like to talk genuinely. Me too. Hence, those other people in my chat were like, stop talking and get back to make music. That was pretty funny. You were getting trolled pretty hard. But really, all this stuff, science, travel, tea, music, it's not as if any of it is inherently better than genuine human communication and connection. Actually, it's usually not. Yeah, just genuine chat and connection. That's what's important. And that's what we do with tea. You know, when you have a tea room, you have a tea space, a tea table, you invite others to it to enjoy tea with you, is vulnerability. Like the power of tea to help you create that vulnerable, safe place where people can just be themselves and be confident and comfortable to be themselves and to share their story. And sometimes it is not crazy stuff, philosophy and science and high level intellectual things. It could just be, you know, how's the weather been? Yeah, so we should do that. But it is tricky with the streaming because there's a certain expectation, especially if you're like a music streamer or you're an art streamer, there is a certain expectation from your audience to do those types of things. Just like, you know, with the tea streaming, sometimes like I may want to talk about a certain thing, but you know, kind of the energy from chat is, you know, they want you to get back to brewing and talking about the tea versus, you know, talking about the Constitution or something. Aw, Jesse, nice emote. I like your emote. Yeah, there is a lot of things in Africa. Africa's a big place. So is Asia. I feel like the same level of like wisdom and reverence in Africa as I feel in Asia. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was talking about the, you know, mental illness in community and how that's lacking in modern society. And you bring up, you know, how elderly people are treated. That's exactly right. I'm sure your partner is Chinese. I mean, you're probably, well, usually it's like the male, right? It's like the youngest male in the family in Asian cultures typically takes the responsibility of caring for the elderly in the family. But we definitely don't have that here. Not in our Western society. Yeah, nice emote. We also got the Tea Fairy. That's on our level 2 subscription. You get the Tea Fairy right there. And then, of course, we got the bitty boy. The bitty, bitty, bitty boy. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's our dog. All right, so I caught up on chat. I can't believe, man, that took a while. Nick, I'm grateful. But yeah, you gave me a lot to think about, and I'm through it now. If you wanna send more over, you are welcome to do so. I am here for it. Get some better tunes. Get some better shoons. Make sure your dog doesn't suddenly crash. I know, Bitcoin, you won't crash. In fact, he is going on his first airplane ride next week. We just booked the ticket to fly. He travels everywhere. He goes everywhere with me, but when I travel, he stays. When I fly, but if I do like a road trip to California, actually I did a road trip a few months back to South Dakota. And he did quite fine. He does really well on road trips. Oh, now he's like gonna be in this cuddly, like, playful spirit. He's a cutie. He's pretty much everybody's favorite Twitch streamer on Bitcoin. Everybody loves you. All right, can we get back to reading the article, boy? Can we get back to it? We need some more disco or what? More disco. Woo. It's okay, yeah, you can sit there. What do you want to do? I've got to change the music. So many of these files are corrupted. I wonder what's happened. Yeah, we're trying to put people to sleep. Okay. Where are you gonna go? You gonna sit down? Yeah, sit down. Good boy. No, Bitcoin won't crash. Yeah, he's about to go high up in the sky to the moon. Yeah, we named him Bitcoin. He was always the office dog. I used to have a team of 5 people. So there's a lot of us working together. Like, this was when we were first building all our tech and marketing and everything. I needed a lot of help. Now I work alone. But I got him as the office dog, you know, to kind of hang out with us and help keep energy high and people happy. And so I let the team name him. And at that time, this was back in 2013, we had just launched Bitcoin payments and it became like a big part of our business. It actually saved the business when we started accepting Bitcoin as payment. And so everybody said, let's call him Bitcoin. And that became his name. So he's an OG. His name has been Bitcoin since he was worth $75. Oh, baby? Yeah. Now what? Now you're worth more than $60,000. Can you believe that? Oh, I know. It's so magical. You're such a magical little golden pup. All right, let's get back to the article. I wanted to read this last part. Okay. I'm giving you attention. Yeah, all the attention. Okay, so an EEG was performed all right, so this section is EEG acquisition and analysis in a caffeine-induced wakefulness model, and testing the administration of GABA, L-theanine, and then the two together versus a control. A significant difference in sleeping and awakening times was observed between the arousal group, which was orally administered 10 milligrams per kilogram of caffeine, and the control group, which was orally administered with saline. Administration of GABA, L-theanine, and the combination of both in the caffeine-induced awakening model led to significant differences in sleep and awakening times. When compared to the arousal group, In the wakefulness model, the use of L-theanine alone or GABA-L-theanine mixture restored NREM sleep time to the control group level. However, the use of GABA-L-theanine mixture in the wakefulness model has a tendency to restore REM sleep time, but there was no significance to arousal group. The administration of GABA-L-theanine mixture increased theta wave and decrease delta wave oscillations in the NREM sleep when compared to the arousal group. Let's just look at the charts. We are drinking tea. I am petting my dog Bitcoin, and I am reading a peer-reviewed article about the effects of GABA and L-theanine on sleep. Talking about sleep, healthy sleep. Of course, theanine is the magical amino acid compound that's found in tea, and it can only be found in tea. It's extracted from tea to be used in nootropic supplements to help people sleep and to have more healthy, focused lifestyles. When we could just be drinking tea. So we're talking about tea. I always talk about tea. In fact, if you guys want to see the full experience and join the community, you can see us on Twitch. I stream 5 days a week to Twitch on all types of topics, always from my tea table, always fun, always an educational experience. I stream to Reddit just on Friday nights, where I do a segment called Best Life Friday, where we look at different topics about how we can all individually find our own path or our own way to a path to a best life. A best life can never be fully achieved on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's like, nah, I'm living my best life all the time. All the time. Yeah, he's my little baby Yoda. My little baby Yoda boy. All right, so I'm looking at some charts now of this study on mice of differences of wake time, sleep time, wake time. So this is overall sleep time. And you have the control group, the aroused group. So they aroused with caffeine. And then, and all these other 3 bars, this is the caffeine with GABA or L-theanine or GABA and L-theanine. So you see that the most sleep happened with a combination of GABA L-theanine. So even if you take caffeine, the combination of GABA and L-theanine does affect the length of sleep as well as affect the length of wakefulness. So it does decrease wakefulness. And then they broke it up into the different types of sleep. So the NREM and the REM, which I've come to learn on this stream. I haven't really studied sleep too much. So a lot of this stuff I'm just, learning as I'm going right now. But earlier in the stream, I had learned kind of the difference between the NREM and the REM. It's the rapid eye movement sleep or the non-rapid eye movement sleep. Both are important. The NREM is important. The non-rapid eye movement sleep is important for productivity and energy throughout the day. While the REM I think is good for your it's good for your creativity and your mind state. But we had saw that there are some studies that has shown that too much REM can affect your mental state as well. So I guess you just keep yourself in your dreams. And that reminded me of a movie from about 20 years ago called The Science of Sleep. I loved that movie. It was a Spanish movie about a guy that was pretty much obsessed with living in his dreams. And so he would kind of put himself in this kind of mental state where he was always in his dreams. And he had trouble adjusting in society. And everybody thought he was crazy. So I guess that makes sense. Well, this is a different part of the study I didn't know. The effects of GABA and L-theanine combination and on the mRNA levels of neurotransmitter receptors. To investigate whether the sleep-promoting mechanism of GABA-L-theanine mixture mediates neurotransmitter receptive expression changes, the mRNA levels of GABA and glutamate receptors were evaluated. So yeah, it looks like there was a difference compared to the control. All right, so let's get to the discussion. The key finding of the study is the confirmation of the synergetic action of GABA and L-theanine on sleep behavior, which significantly decreased sleep latency and increased sleep duration. So yep, that's the moral of the story, guys. If you guys are looking for tea that is good for sleep, look for GABA. Look for GABA tea. And there is like a modern process that a lot of tea factories are using now to accentuate the GABA production in tea. Like, I think all tea has GABA. The GABA is found in lots of things. Let me try to find us a good article or a good source to research that. Some of the foods that contain GABA include fish and shellfish, beans and lentils, sprouted whole grains, especially brown rice, potatoes, tomatoes, seaweed, noni fruit. Aww. Yeah, no, we're talking about tea. We're just talking about tea and a healthy lifestyle, you know, and finding our way to a path towards the best life. And so these compounds, right, I'm reading... I'm reading, you know, some article from pharmaceutical biology. Queen, come on. Okay, you want to come? You want to come? Sorry, my dog is being a little needy right now. He's being a little needy. A little needy. Yeah, I was reading an article from pharmaceutical biology, you know, about a study on the compounds of L-theanine and yeah, drink more tea. Thank you. Bitcoin, tell them what's up. Sorry guys, I can hang out with my dog for a bit. Tell him what's up. So yeah, in layman's terms, drink tea. Drink good tea. Drink loose leaf tea. Drink tea that's like, you know, more artisanal and, you know, made in smaller batches, made organically with good positive energies in it. And, you know, I'll be honest, you're really not going to find that kind of tea in the grocery store, at least not right now. Like, I'm building a business right now to, you know, make those types of good quality teas that are good for your health and good for your brain and good for your sleep. I'm trying to make those types of teas available in the grocery store, you know, more ubiquitous. But unfortunately, currently right now, they're amino acids. Yep, they're amino acids. Non-protein amino acids. Yeah, not hormones. Not hormones. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin. Berries, also a source of GABA. So you can find GABA in lots of things. You don't have to take it, you know, as a pill. What did we miss? Yeah, just that the combination of L-theanine and GABA have a synergetic effect of both increasing sleep length and decreasing sleep latency, as well as inhibiting the effects of caffeine-induced energy. Let's see. We got a question from Reddit about tea and kidney stones. I don't know anything about that. Let's look at this. Let's check it out. Bitcoin, wanna check it out? Let me check it out. My dog's name is Bitcoin. Yeah. Hey, why you mean mugging? Why you mean mugging? Tea does have caffeine, but tea also has L-theanine and GABA in it, which, and the other study I just looked at had said that those can inhibit, you know, the energy. Yeah, Melissa, it seems that there is a connection, so we'll read this article here. Bitcoin, can you sit down, please? Thank you. Give me another treat. I'm just here for the treats. I'm here for the treats and the bits. Give me all the treats and the bits. Melissa, that you've read that there's a possible connection because you're worried about kidney stones, that having dairy with the tea and drinking plenty of water in addition to the tea should mitigate it. Something else too with dairy. So someone from Reddit had asked about melatonin when I first started talking about tea and sleep. And this is the International Journal of Urology. That's what we'll be looking at here. Let me zoom this in a bit. So, you know, of course there are, you know, supplements for, you know, melatonin that people take commonly to help with their sleeping. But I was trying to see, you know, natural sources of melatonin, and warm milk tends to be one of those. So that's kind of interesting if you're drinking like a tea that's high in theanine and GABA with milk. Maybe an interesting sleeping aid. I don't know. Yeah. Do you want to cut my hair? You're welcome to. I don't really cut my hair. I'm what you call a hippie. You don't really cut my hair. I should though, huh? I should. It's a mess. It's like a little rat's tail. Sometimes I braid it. Sometimes I brush it, but usually I don't. Usually it's just, you know, a long mess. All right, so green tea intake and risk of incident kidney stones. Let's just read the results. During 319 to 11 and 296 to 950 person years of follow-up respective, 1,202 men and 1,451 women reported incident stones. Approximately 2/3 of men and 1/4 of women were tea drinkers at baseline, of whom green tea was the primary type consumed. Tea drinkers, confidence interval, compared to former drinkers, a stronger dose response trend was observed for the amount of dried tea leaf consumed per month by men than by women. So I guess it affects men differently. Nick, have a great night. Rest well. Thank you for hanging out. Think it. We'll see you next time. Green tea intake is associated with a lower risk of incident kidney stones, and the benefit is observed more strongly among men. Kind of looks like a goblin. Yeah, he's a vocal guy. He's a little growling. I don't know what he's trying to say, but he's trying to say something. He's trying to type something too. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want, little goblin? They're calling you a goblin, Bitcoin. They're calling you a goblin. Oh, so this is interesting. So it's saying it's a lower risk. Green tea reduces the risk of kidney stones. So this is one study. Let's check out a different study. Oh, you read it about black tea. Oh, Bitcoin. Oh my goodness. So meaty. Yeah, drink tea. Not just for the kidney stones, but for everything, you know? And if you want help with finding good tea, check out that website. teaanditspeople.com. Bitcoin says, check it out. teaanditspeople.com. And if you do Twitch, you can follow us there. I stream 5 days a week. Lots of fun things on the channel. Come check it out. Thank you. Thank everyone. So this one says tea consumption is associated with an increased risk of kidney stones in northern Chinese. Oh, Bitcoin. A total of 8,807 patients were included in the final analysis. Participants' prevalence of kidney stones was 1.01%, 1.73%, and 2.25% based on their tea consumption frequency of never, occasionally, and often groups. Oh, interesting. Compared with the never groups, the odds ratio of the occurrence of kidney stones were 1.57 and 1.65 in the occasionally and often groups respectively. After adjusting for sex, age, and other potential confounding factors, tea consumption still significantly increased the risk of kidney stones. Tea consumption is independently associated with an increased risk of kidney stones in the investigated population, suggesting that a decrease in the consumption of tea may be a preventative strategy for kidney stones. Okay, so this is like a countering article here, but this could be, you know, this doesn't say if it's green tea, it just says tea, which this is northern China. Northern China, I think, tends to drink more black tea than southern China, which tends to drink more of the green tea and the pu'er. Yeah, check out our tea. Like I was saying, the grocery store, you're not going to find the tea that's going to like help you sleep and really help improve your lifestyle at the grocery store. You know, matcha is becoming popular, and so sometimes you can find some good quality, like ceremonial grade matcha, which, you know, can be healthy and good for your lifestyle, but there's a lot of variety here. I exclusively import tea from small family farms around the world. All the teas are direct trade and come with the story of the grower. Yeah, check it out. My business is tealet. That's wholesale though. Like tealet is like where I do my wholesale business. But the Tea and Its People website is where anybody can go and see all the teas and read all the stories and watch all the videos and everything. Well, let's check out this one. He smells like a bag of Frito-Lays. Little Frito boy. Little Frito boy. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. Kidney stones are one of the most common diseases in industrialized countries, and their prevalence ranges from 1 to 10%. The mechanism of stone formation begins with supersaturation urine with salts, nucleation, crystal growth, and agglomeration. Small crystals are unstable and can dissolve, but a large amount of ions in solution which hit in surface of crystal and bind with them increase their size. Crystal particles aggregate then in stones and tubule. Okay, so let's see. What does it try and say about tea, though? Because this is articles about, like, tea and coffee to, like, treat it. The most important determinants of calcium oxalate crystallization in urine are hyperoxaluria, hypercalciuria, and hypocitraturia. Oxalate acid is an end product of amino acids metabolism in organisms and can also be derived from plant foods. For example, spinach, rhubarb, beets, tea, chocolates, nuts, and berries. An excessive intake of products rich in oxalate is a possible factor that contributes to mild hyperoxaluria. Mainly the ingestion of oxalate-rich products such as chocolate and nuts between regular meals can be a source of particularly high concentration of urinary oxalate. Reduction of dietary oxalate and adequate calcium intake has been shown to decrease urinary oxalate concentration. In addition, high water intake increases urinary volume, which reduces the concentration of lithogenous salts. In our study, we try to estimate the main food sources of oxalate in free choice diets of patients with, oh man. So this is interesting. I mean, yeah, this is about treatment or, you know, prevention. Let's look at the results. Tea and ice cream for the win, yeah. Have you ever had matcha ice cream? Good stuff. What language is this in? Conclusion. Renal stone formation is strongly influenced by dietary habits. Hey, Caddy. What's up, Caddy? Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for hanging out. Excessive oxalate consumption and low calcium diet could increase intestinal absorption of oxalate, leading to hyperoxaluria. Patients with kidney stones should be instructed to reduce intake of oxalate-rich drinks, food, and keep fluid intake high. Calcium from dairy products, preferably with meals to reduce intentional absorption of oxalate, should be considered. Appropriate nutrition management remains a cornerstone in the treatment of stone formers and must be provided by a dietitian. Among golden rules for the anti-stone forming diet are limited oxalate intake, a normal calcium intake, and increased water intake. Any of these rules are respected by patient in our own investigation. Beast. You little beastie beast. Pablo, why you gotta say something like that? Now I've gotta go ban you. You don't talk to me that way. You don't talk to other people that way. You just get banned talking like that. Not funny. What's this video about? Yeah, we're talking about drinking tea. We're talking about sleep. Talking about health. I'm also streaming to Reddit. And I had a question come in from Reddit about kidney stones and tea. So I just did a little lit review on the different powerful compounds in tea that can contribute to helpful rest, being L-theanine and GABA. I am a food scientist. Yeah, I'm a food scientist. I'm also, owning a tea business. I'm a tea importer. Oh, Kiobs, thank you for the follow. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. If you're still here, much love to you. Welcome to the tea table. Thank you for being here. Yeah, my notification did not come up with your follow. That happens sometimes. All right, I need to find a proper lullaby to send Reddit off with, because we're about to get kicked off of Reddit in 1 minute. Yeah, thanks, Katie. Do you have an interest in food science? I'm not just a food scientist. There are like food science streamers, and I really enjoy the content that they're making. I love seeing food scientists like geek out and get excited about things and get people excited about food and about understanding and studying food on a more molecular level. But it's too dancey for this lullaby. The beginning of it was nice. The opening was nice. But I like to transcend the conversation about food beyond just what we know in the science of it, to looking at a lot of the like spirituality, the energetics behind it. Yeah, I think this is a good lullaby for you guys. I hope you guys all rest well. Sleep is important. Awesome. Yeah, Reddit was fun. I just finished Reddit. Yeah, sleep is so important. You like cooking South Indian food? Awesome. Are you from South India? Or you just you've just discovered some recipes and some things that you enjoy to eat and cook? I like dosa. Been a long time since I've had dosa, but I will be having it soon because I am flying to Mumbai in 3 weeks. Where are you from in South India? One of my favorite places in the world is in South India. In the Nilgiri area. Although I have yet to go to Kerala. I really want to go there. It seems to be very beautiful there, and the food seems to be really awesome. You know, I really only go to like the tea growing regions, which actually there is tea there, but like I work with like small independent family-owned farms that are converting their fields from like the commodity system to, you know, the more artisanal handcrafted system. And one of the first farms in India to start doing that work was in Nilgiri, near Uti, about like 2 hours north of Coimbatore in the mountains. It's beautiful there. Oh, from Tamil Nadu is this chettinad. Spicy. I like how, like, yeah, South Indian food tends to be spicier, hotter. Yeah, there's teas in the hilly places, but unfortunately, it's still kind of like the commodity system. So there's not a whole lot of like independent, you know, artisanal. Yeah, Uti is beautiful. Lots of monkeys. That's all I remember. Lots of monkeys everywhere. Yeah, maybe I'll be. Yeah, there are a lot of tea estates there. That whole industry all kind of popped up at one time in like the 1960s, and it completely turned the landscape of that environment, because, you know, traditionally all those communities in the mountains there were very like subsistence agriculture, diversified agriculture, wetlands. You know, they had a lot of fresh water running through the land in the mountains, but then when the governments subsidized for this like cash crop, commodity crop to be planted there, they encouraged all of the biodiversity to be uprooted from the area, and they just optimized planting tea. So the environment just like overnight changed from this like beautiful lush environment to, you know, now a pretty water deprived area. You know, within the one generation, all of the water buffalo have converted into land buffalo. It's pretty sad. So yeah, the farmers that I work with, they restore a lot of the biodiversity. They replant a lot of the indigenous trees to help restore the health of the soil, so that the soil can hold on to its water. Because even though they're having rainfall and stuff, when you have a monoculture system in your land where there's no biodiversity, there's no trees, there's no cover crop to, you know, hold the water into the soil the water just goes away. I do know a lot about commodities. I don't like them. You know, like commodities, and I have to use that term because like in the tea trade, it's like, oh, it's just a commodity. But, you know, the concept of commodity and the commodification of things has really devalued a lot of what is the most important in our products, in our communities, which is the health of the soil, the existence and protection of clean water. You know, when we start commodifying things, it's very easy to lose touch with that stuff. Like those types of things no longer are relevant in the spreadsheet. Yeah, the water doesn't stick to the soil. It's like, and water really doesn't stick to soil. What water does, you know, what you get with like your water table, right? When you say, oh, you just dig a well and you can access the water that's just naturally there for you. When the water table, like it's just the water that has rained down and it just exists in the soil. It does settle down, it goes down, and you do have to dig to get to it. And there's always an existing amount of water that's just settled in the earth for us to access. When you don't have the trees planted and you don't have like the root structure that's like holding everything together, and then you don't have a cover crop, so usually that's like a cover of weeds or whatever. It's a simple concept, but those things shade the topsoil. And so when it rains, the water is first at the topsoil and it starts to seep down. The water will evaporate before it has time to even go down to the water table. And then, you know, the trees that are there are absorbing all of the water that may be there, including the tea trees. Tea trees take a lot of water. They like water. And, you know, I'm not trying to say that tea trees shouldn't be planted because they take all the water. I'm just saying that we shouldn't plant only tea trees, especially if it's a mountain environment. We should have, you know, biodiversity and lots of things there to help the water stay in the water table. But when it comes to commodities, like those types of things are never on the balance sheet. Yep, the cover crop provides shade to keep the water in the soil so it doesn't evaporate. Because yeah, when the sun is beaming down directly on all the topsoil, like the water is just going to evaporate. Oh, Bitcoin, you want to play with your ball? Bitcoin brought his ball over. Bitcoin's got his ball. He's playing. Go get it. What? Good catch, boy. He just like leaped in the air and just caught it. I wish I had a camera on him. Such a good boy. Crazy Bitcoin. You're such a crazy boy. Yeah. That's why monoculture sucks. And that's why, like, we should demand more. You know, when they say, oh, this is organic, it's certified organic. That just means, like, they're not using, like, a certain list of, like, agriculture chemicals, you know, in making the product. But they are certainly still using the monoculture practices of removing anything else because you want to optimize your space for what's going to be making you money. Yep, there you go. That's why, like, if you go to, like, a non-organic farm, I don't know where you said you're in California. So if you're in, like, yeah, California is a great place to see this. If you ever drive through, like, the rural agriculture areas of California, look at the soil. Like, be it in Central Valley, you'll see a lot of, like, the almond tree orchards, just miles and miles of rows of stuff on the side of the road. If you're in, like, Northern California, you can go through, like, Napa and Sonoma and see all the vineyards on the side of the road. And the one common thing that you'll see is, like, the soil looks like styrofoam. It's like there's nothing else there. It's like, it's just the rows of the plants, and in between those rows is the soil, right? Like, typically, if you're, like, out in, like, organic land, in between those rows of trees is actually, like, really fertile, beautiful, biodiverse, lush soil and cover crops and things planted there. Natural things there. Yep, yeah. And deserts have a hard time keeping water in their water tables. Yeah, because it all dries off. It all dries off. So yeah, you can see, you can almost like feel and see the lack of water in the California agriculture, and that's no good. That is no good at all. And then what that's causing California to do is, when you have water restrictions and drought problems, they're bringing the water from somewhere. Usually, I think the Colorado River is a big source of where a lot of water will come, or they just divert it from other bodies of water within California. They prioritize the agriculture. So like when the soil is like that, they can optimize the yields, and they can just add more fertilizers and pesticides to keep the plant growing well. But because there's no natural water in the water table, it's almost like you need extra water in irrigation. So they have to like extort or exploit water sources from other places. It's really sad. Like California has like just been known for doing that for so long. Yeah, you do. You have the ocean nearby. Although, the process of converting ocean water into like what do you call that? Potable water that can be used. And not even just potable water, but agriculture water. The water molecule is not bioavailable for plants. When it's in its ocean form, you have to treat it, just like we would have to treat it for us to worry, or for us to drink it. Remove the salts. Yeah, so like the process of doing that is actually more resource intensive than the process of like building a viaduct from an aqueduct from a different place, and just take the water from someone else. Yeah, the ocean water is kind of unusable in its raw state. You have to process it. But you know what? Like, there's scientists working on it, because we kind of know we're getting to that point. It's like we're at a point of no return in our water problems. Yeah, so desalination is actually becoming a viable option. I think so far it's not like a completely feasible option, but there's definitely research going on and kind of innovation in that direction at this time. Oh my god, I can't believe T-Friend is streaming still. We've got like a T-Friend streamer also on West Coast, so yeah, it's 12:40 her time. Yeah, she's still drinking tea. Good for her. And she's been streaming for 4 hours. Yeah, I remember she started before me. I am... You wish that there was a portable desalination device. Yeah, I think like that kind of stuff will be, innovated sometime soon. Yeah, we should expect to be seeing that kind of stuff soon. I am originally from Southern California. I was born in Southern California. I spent a good amount of my childhood in South Texas. Then I went to high school in Central California and that whole agriculture area where, all the water is being stolen. Then I joined the Peace Corps, so I lived in Africa for a couple of years, and then I lived in Hawaii for 7 years. And most recently, I moved to Las Vegas about a little over 7 years ago. Almost 8 years now. So I'm based now in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. So yeah, if you ever come to Las Vegas, you are welcome to come to my tea room. I've got a tea room in Chinatown, where I have a warehouse where, I receive and warehouse all the teas that we deal in. And a tea room where I host events and do tasting events with my clients. And then Yeah, now I'm streaming, so I've got like a full-on streaming studio going on here as well. I started doing the streaming after the pandemic. Yeah, I do a lot of traveling. I don't really have a home base. You know, people always ask that question, where are you from? And it's kind of a hard thing to answer, but I know I'm not alone. I know that there are a lot of people in this kind of position where they don't really have an identity of, yeah, you know, you should definitely go check out my website. I'll put it in chat now for you. Yeah, go to this website, and this will give you a good overview of all the different farmers that we work with, the different countries, the different origins, and then the different teas that they make. And I have visited all the farmers. We create videos of the stories of, like, you know, how they make their tea, and how they do their agriculture too. That's a big thing. You know, it's interesting in India how kind of fundamental and primal the farmer's knowledge of organic practices are there. All revolving around the cow. You know, it's so important. That's why the cow is so highly valued. It's not just the milk and the ghee that we can get directly for us consuming. Okay, Melissa, have a good night. Rest well. Much love to you. It's a business model. I am a venture-backed tech company, profitable and trying to become more. I'm actually trying to build the Alibaba for the food industry. So I'm not just working in tea. I'm also developing these networks, these, you know, supply chain networks between all types of agricultural commodity networks. So tea is the first one. You know, all tea comes from the same crop, and it's very not easy, but it's feasible, you know, as a newcomer into the industry, to develop this network between, you know, the producers and the buyers, the supply chain network. I would not be able to launch this business and develop that network for all agriculture commodities all at once. So just like Amazon, when Amazon launched, it was just focused on a specific market, which was, you know, the college textbook market. And but now Amazon does everything, anything you can think of, and that was the same concept. Like, had Amazon launched as what it is now, it wouldn't have had a good balance in the seller and buyer, you know, kind of teeter-totter that you have when you're developing a marketplace type product. How'd I get capital? So I didn't try. I kind of fell into it, but it was during a time when venture capital, especially like seed stage venture capital, was very bullish, and it was a huge trend. This was back in 2012 when I started the business, and I was just completing an MBA. You know, it was a Japanese MBA, so I had to do an internship in Japan. So I was on a tea farm in Kyoto, developing like a nonprofit. So actually the origins of my business is a nonprofit, is NGO. But we gave up on that quickly. I was there for 6 months. We started this nonprofit. We did a little bit of work, and we realized there's not a sustainable, you know, capital source to keep this funded and going. And all the farmers were like, well, you know, you should build a for-business partner to this nonprofit that can have the same mission, which was to create a bridge between tea growers and tea lovers, but that could actually handle the commerce. And then the commerce, you know, the money made in the commerce can support these efforts of educating the market about where tea comes from. So that was the origin of the whole business. I had no intention of becoming an entrepreneur, business owner. I, you know, was just trying to do good work in the world. And so my first weekend back from Japan, there was a startup weekend going on. Hello, Tef. Good morning to you. Wonderful morning to you. I hope you had a beautiful sleep, beautiful rest. We're talking about sleep today. That's what Best Life Friday is all about. Well, today is all about sleep, so that's why I'm streaming from my peaceful bedroom here, enjoying this beautiful nighttime city view from my window. So yeah, I went to the startup weekend. I had never worked with developers or designers or anyone in tech before. I knew nothing about venture capital. But my product that I took my idea. I was like, I know these tea farmers. They need help selling their tea. I want to build what I called it back then was tea commerce. I thought that was a cute little play on words, but it's funny when you start a business, it's like at the end of the day, you really just have to go see what URLs are available. And so Tealet it was available. Like I got a 6-letter, readable URL in 2012, if you can believe that. And so that's how the name came from, Tealet. And so, yeah, we got second place, and one of the judges, and the judge that was most excited about our project and about the business, was a venture partner at a prominent seed stage venture capital fund in Silicon Valley. So they actually invited us to join their accelerator. So we spent 6 months building the business in Silicon Valley. Yeah, Tealet's nice. It's got a good ring to it. It's memorable. So I do work with some big chain stores. But getting there, I was just telling Reddit earlier that, the good tea, the kind of tea that I deal in, unfortunately, you don't really see it in the grocery store. You certainly don't see it in tea bags, but it's getting there. I've got some clients that are, right, so I'm like a wholesale provider. Like the link I gave you is retail. You could buy tea from that website, theteaanditspeople.com. But majority of my business, like 98% of my revenue and focus is on the wholesale. So supplying to restaurants and tea shops and hotel groups and all of that. So some of my wholesale clients are having their products in Whole Foods or in other like local grocery, but it's baby steps to get it there. I was not in Santa Clara. I was in Mountain View. Mountain View, I don't know if you're familiar with the city. The whole area is not that big. I guess Santa Clara is pretty big and San Jose is pretty big, but Mountain View is actually a very small, quiet town. And in the downtown district, there's really only one large building. It's like a 12-story building. And the venture fund that we were a part of was in the top story of that building. So that was kind of cool because then nothing obstructed our view. We could see all of Silicon Valley. You could see NASA, you could see Microsoft, you could see Facebook, you could see everything from our office. That was pretty cool. Yeah, we were on the top floor of that. It's expensive, yes, you're right. Yeah, I remember my team, this was back in 2012 was when we went. My team, we got this like tiny little 2-bedroom apartment together for the 6 months that we were there, and I think I was paying close to $3,000 a month for the 2-bedroom. And the landlady, she got it, and she has no problem filling that unit because it was furnished, so that that was necessary. I wasn't going to be bringing all of my shit from Hawaii because I was living in Hawaii at the time. But it was a fun experience. I'm grateful for that experience. I learned a lot about how the tech world works. I learned how venture capital works. And I ended up not raising much more money after that. It was interesting because all of my peers and my colleagues in the cohort with us as part of that accelerator, they were all raising millions of dollars. And I just wasn't feeling pulled to do that. Like I was being told, go raise millions of dollars, raise as much money as you can, because then, you can just go for it. And if you fail, you fail, no problem. Most people are going to fail. But I'm like, I don't even want that to be an option in my mind. Like, you're going to fail, you fail. Like, I don't even want that to be an option because I don't fail. Not on things like this that I'm going to commit myself to. I may go on different journeys and have to like slide under some doors and things like that, but like I'm not gonna fail. And it's interesting because most of those other companies that did raise the millions of dollars, it was like as soon as they raised the money, they were like under pressure. It was like this clock was started for them, and it was like spend all this money in a year and a half, and then we'll talk more if you need more money. And so all those companies got in the habit of spending their money a certain way, you know, to have teams and to have expensive offices, because they have millions of dollars and they have a year and a half to spend it. And so if you do that and then you haven't built the business to the size or the growth that the investors are wanting, they'll just cut you off. And then you're like left with all these bills. And so you just end up having to shut down because you can't keep running at the same rate. So I'm really grateful in that I didn't raise that much money. And so essentially kind of bootstrapped and kind of developed the profitability on its own. And I think, really out of the cohort that I was a part of, I think there's only one other company that's still operating out of New York. Oh man, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. I've been streaming for, almost 4 hours now. 3.5 hours. Yeah, I started a little late, right? Because I was napping. I was taking a nap, and that's why I started a little late. But today's been good. I'm happy with what I learned today. You know, it's the L-theanine and the GABA together. So, you know, look for those GABA oolong teas if that's what you're looking for to help with your sleep. A percentage, I want to sleep. It's now time for me to sleep because, you know, I'm pretty tired. I took a really good nap. I took like a 2.5 hour nap prior to streaming, which for me is like, it's a nice nap, and I go deep in, and I wouldn't doubt if a lot of that was like that deep rest. And so when I wake up, I'm kind of groggy. So I start out groggy, but I drink some wonderful, you know, old tree pu'er, and that kind of got me going, and I'm feeling revved up, but I'm ready to go home and sit and meditate for a second, and then get myself ready for a restful state and sleep. Earlier in the day, actually now I can say yesterday, I got my second dose of the vaccine, so I think that's also contributing a little bit to my restfulness now. But I appreciate you coming. Caddy, how did you find me? How'd you find the channel? I'd love to know how you found your way into this peaceful place of Twitch, talking about the best life. And Tef, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the hearts. Much love to you. Here's a cup of tea. Here's a cup of tea for all three of you guys. Oh, you checked the food category. Oh, and I came up. Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for coming. I hope you give us a follow. Come back. Hang out with us more. I do stream 5 times a week. Friday nights tend to be like the most party night, fun night. Oh, yeah. Go for it. Yeah, I do research. If I ever am gonna like consult the internet for some research, I'm definitely using like Google Scholar, or trying to like keep it as peer reviewed as possible. Yeah, Friday is all about living the best life and looking at the research behind it. But on Mondays, I talk about the hospitality industry. On Tuesdays, I do a really cool art and tea stream. I improvise live art. I have artists in my studio, and we all just kind of have fun together. On Wednesday, I do a Constitution study group. So if civility is something of interest to you, come back on Wednesday afternoon. And Thursday, we do an interactive community event, which Tef is a regular of, called Tea Talks, and we meet in a virtual tea house and just drink tea together and talk about life. There's no website for fun food research papers. There's not, and I actually wanted to create one back whenever I was a student of food science. This was what, like fucking, jeez, long time ago, 15 years ago. I wanted to start a blog about this, you know, kind of showing, yeah, the schedule is just on the schedule portion of the, everything should be listed out. The schedule should be there, like on the bottom tabs of this channel. You can see the schedule. But you should just follow, and that way you just get notified when I go live. But I do go live 5 times a week, and there's lots more than just me. There's, you know, it's not just me. You know, Friday nights you get just me. Sometimes I will have a special guest come through here. And now with COVID, you know, clearing up and people getting vaccinated, I expect to have many more guests in here because I've completely converted my 1,800 square foot warehouse into a streaming studio. So I can do a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff in here now. I want to bring musicians and other artists. It's supposed to be like playing lullabies. Check it out. Check it out. You should also go follow our friend Tef. He does. He's from Denmark. He does some cool streaming. Yeah, somebody. I wonder if it's just this player, not. Identifying these tracks. Oh, this is cool. We have a new friend to go raid now. This was somebody recommended earlier by our friend Nick. I think we should go raid her. Looks like she's having some fun. I wonder where she is though. Where she's based. I do import from India. I told you I work with a family in near Uti, but I also import a lot of Darjeeling and Assam, small grower handmade teas. You can see it right there on the website. All the teas that you see listed there are teas that I import. All right, so there's 2 of us. Come on, guys, let's go stream. We lost our other buddy. Let's go meet a new musician. Looks like she raps, and she says she does ventriloquism too. That should be good. I like puppets. So yeah, tell them it's a tea raid. Drop some fun tea related emotes, and yeah, share the tea love. I love you guys. I'm gonna enjoy my rest and a wonderful weekend, and I hope you do too. And I'll be seeing you guys on Monday. Much love.